What? What's happened? You.
Let's move out.
Ready to fire.
Kaboom! Let's destroy this lunatic.
He's back.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the OLS day number 3. And as you could see in the intro trailer, Daki is currently on a mission to destroy von Krieger and his Waffenträger auf I-100. And yeah, today we have a very, very suitable replacement. Moff, how are you doing, my man?
I am doing great. I am here as your resident native English speaker caster to pretend like I know what I'm talking about.
I don't think you need to pretend that much since you have quite the extensive Onslaught experience, so this one should be easy for you. First of all, though, let's take a look at what's in store today for all the viewers out there. We do obviously have, once again, Twitch drops. Today it's going to be OLS tokens again. And yeah, here you can see in the calendar all the streams that we have planned today. We are on the 17th of September. That means after 150 minutes, you'll be able to claim 4 OLS tokens. The same is going to be true on Thursday, and all of those obviously accumulate on your account, and then you can, well, you can spend them all at once, or you can, you know, spend them in a trickle. But there are really cool goodies in the OLS token store that you can get. Tier 5, Tier 6 premium, some of them very rare, barely sold. For example, the double barrel Tier 5 Soviet TD, or the KW1. That's basically a captured Soviet tank that then was used in the Wehrmacht. But yeah, thank you for watching, and Moff, what are you expecting from today?
Well, I love drops. Free stuff is free, so that's always good. Mystery drops involved there. Today we've got it's match day 3, so going into the league format. In the past, we've seen these one-off tournaments, so how will it unfold in this league format? Teams counter-stratting each other and learning from the experiences in the first two play days. Leaderboard, Storm at the top there, which isn't really a surprise, is it? Given that they are the reigning Onslaught Legend Cup champions, and they will be going to China, of course, 6 points on the board. Other news in the week, though, is that Hit and Run and Mafia played a last chance qualifier to go to China for the WCI tournament, because unfortunately Cashback cannot go due to visa issues.
Yeah, and that one was actually played yesterday. It was, to be honest, up there with the best competitive Onslaught matches that I have ever seen. Especially Game 8 out of those 9 was an absolute cracker. But yeah, first of all, today it's going to be banger matches as well. We're going to start off with Clueless versus Mafia. Mafia, you said it, coming off of their tiebreaker loss against Hit and Run yesterday, and that was quite an important one. So we'll have to see, because normally Mafia should be vastly favored in this matchup, of course. No disrespect, but yeah, it is just, you know, how the strengths of this teams match up, at least on paper, you know. And for Clueless, I mean, last week on Thursday, they had a pretty good performance, but falling short. They lost in tiebreaker. Here we can see their team, and I am being informed that finally Dady seems to have a stable internet connection.
Well, we will see how reliable that is. A couple of people have had disconnect problems. Cashback also last week had issues relating to that. So hopefully they lose on their own merits this time, if that is the case. Mafia, of course, it was a bit devastating, really, to lose out on that last chance qualifier versus Hit and Run, but it was a brilliant match between the two, and one of the games in particular was probably the best Onslaught game we've seen. Predictions are not really surprising at all. A lot of polls out there, and just the general population backing Mafia, as is right to do so. 9% of people going with Clueless, so they did have a bit of credit. It's not the lowest percentage that we've seen so far in terms of predictions.
Yeah, it's not the lowest percentage, but at the same time, I am kind of inclined to agree with the community here. Mafia, despite their loss yesterday, should be absolutely favored here. 91%, and yeah, they're just overall the more experienced team with the, well, maybe it's weird to speak about it, but like longer tradition. That just means, they're more experienced together. They have played more matches, more trainings, more everything. Like, there is little that can surprise them in a match, even though we have to say it's best of 5. First 3, a lot can happen in those small best-offs.
Yeah, best of 5s, and really quickly, player profile here. We've got YOLO from Mafia, not to be confused with the other YOLO from the Conquest team, but 3.4k average damage, 80% hit rate, which is really, really decent in a competitive format. Mostly playing the RHM, which is the same as the other YOLO as well. So they're both called YOLO, and they're both RHM Panzerwagen mains from 2 different teams.
Well, maybe they'll have to play a one-on-one at some point in time to duke it out who will be YOLO number 1 and YOLO number 2. For today, though, first of all, Mafia against Clueless. What's your prediction, actually, here?
I believe I went with 3-1 in favor of Mafia. I may be delusional bias towards Clueless, but even I have at least some sense. Hopefully they will defy expectations, but the map picks coming in here are slightly unexpected. Mafia, of course, banned Cliff in their first 2 matches in the first 2 weeks of the league, and now they've picked it. It's been picked, or they've allowed Clueless to pick it, so they clearly feel more comfortable against an opposition like Clueless compared to Hit and Run, for example, that they played last week.
And the thing is, Clueless, we've seen them on Cliff before. That was a double gorilla strat. So they were definitely cooking on that one. And they're picking it again here. Now, obviously, Mafia will have watched that match where Clueless just barely lost in the tiebreaker. And they will obviously be aware that, some of the strategies that Clueless might be employing here could be unorthodox, is I think the right word. And then obviously from Mafia we had the the pick of Ensk coming in, which I think is not too surprising. Mafia is known to be a pretty good Ensk team, and Ensk is also one of those maps where you can only surprise the opponent so much, right? Because yes, there is Fog of War, etc., but Ensk is a small map, and it has a lot of, streets, houses, corners. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you can play around it all you want. There is going to be some close range brawling at some point in time, and I think Mafia just banks on the fact that they assume that their players are simply better skill-wise.
Yeah, I think Ensk is low-key probably the highest skill cap map that we have in the pool, just because it's so... The positions on the map are not so defined as on other maps, so it's more difficult to get an understanding of what the correct thing to do in certain situations is, and it's more about players individually positioning well to get those 1-for-1 trades off, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, predictions, all of us here going with a 3-1. I personally think that's fair. Because like Clueless, we can't count them out. We saw on last Thursday that they are a team that definitely has the potential to surprise their opponent and capitalize on that surprise. That being said, though, day 3 of the OLS is kicking off with literally Clueless against Mafia. And Clueless, no double gorilla shenanigans. However, a tank that we haven't seen so far in the OLS. Dady bringing the TVP together with double CS63 and quadruple BZ.
Yeah, TVP, obviously fast clip potential, going to aim to probably shoot some CSs going up the hill in the beginning of the game. Mafia have a bit more of a spread of tanks. They've got a 50B, double BZ, Batchat, and then triple CS. So teams have sort of rolled back on the Batchat spam so far.
Yeah, I mean, we did see like triple Batchat, and all of it wasn't crowned with success. So I think teams are indeed dialing it back a bit when it comes to those French mediums. Now, Opening-wise, we do see a very easy opening by literally Clueless. Everyone towards middle, Kayaklu getting sent off towards that donut area. And for Mafia, they're leaving the 50B on the lower side. Now, let's see how those CSs in the middle are actually going to stack up. Eclipse decides to stay here, but good damage coming out on towards Kono and the CS buddy. That's a lot of damage taken, even a baby strike from one of those CSs coming out. But now the 50B from the lower side opening up, and Eclipse is not going to be happy with his cross.
Yeah, Eclipse taking a lot of damage there, and Mafia don't really care about losing HP on the likes of Kono because they've got 3 CS on the hill, and now Comrade and the Batchat is clipping from behind, but there's so many tanks from Clueless going uphill here. They've got 3 BZs going up. Profuse is going up from the side of Mafia to try and support. Ian is now shooting down into the Batchat of Comrade, who's a little bit vulnerable here, but the hill brawl is where it's going to be.
The hill brawl indeed, and they're literally Clueless have the heavier tanks with the better turrets. Those BZs are gonna trade well against the CS63s, as we do see Eclipse rather low, but he's gonna be able to get shielded. But Mafia now taking 2 strikes at the same time. This might net them the advantage that they do need on the hill.
Yeah, Nuki just in that hold down here. They've got 3 BZs on top of the hill. Good shot by Profuse into Ian. The HP slightly in favor of Clueless at the moment. I think Profuse just getting shot by the CS on the offside. Comrade down to 800 HP on the low ground as well. And just individual trades going on. Dejdi actually gets picked up by Comrade in the 1v1 there. Falls. A little bit of a misplay there. Didn't really need to commit to that fight. Strike comes in as well. That's Orshek who picked that up in the 50B. It is now providing crossfire. Kayaklu's going to try and 1v1 him.
Indeed, Kayaklu getting sent off now. He will take some time to DPM that 50B down as it's full HP, and the strikes, they do keep on coming. Mafia capitalizing on the fact that they took those neutral objectives. However, the HP is still kind of close, but Mafia, they do have that additional gun. They have the Batchat running around, just threatening everywhere. Eclipse down towards 1-shot. Barkis, actually, well, it was a 2-shot, but it really isn't going to matter. The strike does come in. It does kill Eclipse, and all of a sudden, 7 versus 5 situation. Make that 4 tanks remaining for Clueless as Mafia, yes, they're just grinding it down here with that gun advantage. Still 7 men standing for Mafia.
Yeah, Orshek will get picked up by Kayaklu on the lower side, but there's just too many guns left for the side of Mafia for Krias to handle. He's just going to get swarmed here, and it's going to be round number 1 taken by Mafia.
Yeah, indeed. Mafia playing a very, very controlled game, I think. They were having a look what Clueless was doing, and there was nothing out of the ordinary really coming out from Clueless. So no hidden gorillas, no, you know, cheeky stage 2 even in the base or something. It was just very, very normal, and that was maybe the surprise that Clueless was going for. That everyone thought they would try something different, but instead they played a normal game. But yeah, Mafia here demonstrating clearly that, you know, when it comes to just plain old player skill reactions, just a box standard game, that they're absolutely able to play it. And they were super solid, just winning every trade.
Yeah, I think the big question mark for me from that game is what happened to Dejdi in the TVP, because it's not like it's not like Comrade put him down to a 1-shot like super early on, and Dejdi had the option to commit to that 1v1, so a bit questionable what happened there. I don't know if it ultimately would have changed anything in the game, because the TVP is obviously on the bottom side of the map and the fight was on the top, right? So a little bit confusing there as to what happened.
So I think what happened is that first Conrad was flanked completely around the hill. Then he had the hold down against all of the tanks from Clueless, where he chose Dejdi as the target, doing like basically his first clip there. And then the problem is Dejdi can't really rush him at that point in time. Even though the Batchat is reloading, the TVP as well. The TVP will be off reload sooner. Simply because those CSs on the hill by Mafia are passively covering the Batchat from getting rushed. They will capitalize on any rush that will, you know, converge onto the Batchat and then just dish out the DPM, because at that point in time, the BZs from Clueless weren't there yet to like cover. And I think one of the BZs then ended up later getting a shot against the Batchat, but at that point in time, the damage was done and the TVP was, you know, it didn't have the amount of HP required anymore to have a proper impact. Because that's where the TVP shines, right? At the end of the game, you still have like, let's say 1500 or 2000 HP left, and then you can pick and choose between the low HP targets, and then after every single kill, you just press C, you activate the ability, and you're almost instantly reloaded.
Yeah, I think the bat from Comrade going behind, even if Clueless go and push straight into him, he still does a full clip, and then Mafia trade off for it by having better positions on top of Hill. Anyway, right, I think Orshek also did a pretty good job. He got 4k in the 50B. He wasn't really sort of in the picture for the entire fight, but he did a very important clip on the CS from Eclipse, going up the hill in the beginning, and then he pushed into Donut and took the strike actually for free as well, which also helped his team win the hill.
Mm-hmm. And that's always something to keep in mind, right? The tank on the offside that isn't really involved in the brawl right now, that tank somehow needs to work, needs to spend his time by, you know, somehow contributing. And even if that's only taking the strike, because that strike can be so crucial for making people a one-shot or picking up low HPs that are currently hiding. It's incredibly, like, it's almost of paramount importance at some points in the game. That being said, though, round number 2.
Yeah, I think Ojek, that job in the 50B, or just playing the tank that's on the offside, can be one of the really difficult things here. It looks like, unless they do last-second switches, because it is Onslaught, of course, it looks like Clueless and Dady is going to be picking up the Grilla again. Last time we saw double Grilla, but they can't really do that again, because it's kind of like a pocket strat, right? It's a one-time only thing, so singular Grilla going to be coming out. They will still bring the TVP. Mafia are committing to double 50B though.
Yeah, double BZ was still the bat for Conrad. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. Plus the double CS for Mafia. But yeah, Clueless once again bringing a kind of interesting lineup. Interesting also the fact that we just saw the first TVP being played. Now it's the second TVP ever in the All-S. Together with a Grilla here. And that Grilla, remember, it only gets the alpha booster when it's like unspotted, so they cannot really commit to any straight fight with that Grilla directly, as Ian gets 2 shots out of the 4 in the clip. I don't think he'll have to pop the ability, but Eclipse taking a ton of damage for trying to go up. The same for Kaya Clue. Yes, they're able to punish Barkis a little bit, but that was not the opening that Clueless wanted.
Yeah, Clueless just getting caught there. Marcel and Orshik in the 50Bs just doing great damage. There's so much damage being done on the side of Mafia right now. Clueless are down about 3 HP in the opening, and they can't overpush middle because they've got 2 tanks stuck on the bottom side. Strikes being taken as well. Krias now trying to take the hill delayed, gets tracked on the first shot, and there's going to be re-peaks, and he's perma-tracked, and now he is going to die, and surely this game is already done for Clueless.
Yeah, no, Clueless here with a bad start, but from there it ended up going worse for them. The strike also adding insult to injury. Once again, Nuki and David are going to take 400 each, as literally Clueless are left here with 6 tanks and 5,000 HP down, and the jig is up, right? The Grilla is spotted. They're not going to let go of that fact, so the whereabouts of the biggest alpha tank of Clueless that could come as a surprise are known as well. Once again, full information from the spotting towers, so yeah, this one is Mafia's to lose.
Yeah, it was a hard counter from Mafia, right? Just committing into Donut, but you have to wonder why Clueless would commit to driving up the hill with double CS, because those 50Bs were spotted pushing into Donut. They knew they were coming. So probably the better thing for Clueless would have been to dump over middle. As it is, they've got to try and somehow recover this game, which is basically unwinnable. Kayaklu falls now as well. You see Comrades in the offside position on the 9 line. They don't have Donut, they don't have control of the hill, they don't have control of 9 line either. They have no control over any of the points of interest, strikes, or points of information. Davistein just getting clipped from behind, and there's nothing you can really do about it. He's just crossfired from multiple different angles here.
Yeah, and this is just rough if you're a Clueless fan. I mean, Mafia just taking all the positions, not giving any like possibility, any opportunity even to the Clueless tanks. And I mean, yeah, Mafia is a great team, and they're just demonstrating that. Give them an opening, they will exploit it. Give them an advantage, and they will drive it home. This is, I mean, we're still watching the game ongoing, but literally, yeah,
it is literally over.
Yeah, it is literally over here. Mafia, they're They're just, playing it safe, which is, I guess, kudos to them. They aren't really under any pressure. I mean, Orzek maybe with a bit of a premature push here into that 1-2 line because he's pushing now into a fully loaded TVP plus the Griller, but Marcel already there with the ram kill. He says, like, Ian, get out of my game, and indeed, that is what Clueless have to do here. They have to concede round number 2 on Cliff on their own map pick as well.
Yeah, so it looks like Mafia made the right choice in feeling comfortable picking Cliff here, but sometimes that's just the way Cliff goes, right? Sometimes you just get hard counted off of opening, and with the quick rotations and the speed of the map, it's just difficult to recover from that kind of situation.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, Mafia is not the kind of team where they take an advantage and then all of a sudden they give it away, like, for free. So, I mean, kudos to Clueless for trying something on Cliff, I guess, especially in round 2. But the problem was, like, it ended up falling apart, like, completely. So, yeah, trying to cook, but in the end, the food ending up, like, maybe the ingredients were spoiled to begin with.
Food poisoning.
Food poisoning, yeah, I guess.
I'll tell you what, though. Look at Comrade. He is, we checked at those, like, player profiles in the beginning. He is padding his stats right now. He did 4.8 in the first game. Now he's done 5.6. So DPG goes up for Comrade in the Onslaught Legends Series.
Obviously, that all-important OLS DPG. I mean, yeah, he's going to be happy about the result he had in the round, but obviously he's going to be even more happy with the result that the team had in this round, and that is another victory, which means that now Mafia, after map number 1, is already on a match point after Clueless's pick. So now going into Ensk, outlook not so good for Clueless currently.
No, these games go by super quick, right? It's already match point for Mafia, and Ensk. I've watched Clueless play it in, like, qualification stages for the Onslaught Legends series, and it did not look like a good map for them at all. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't permaban it immediately as their first map ban. So it looks pretty bleak. I think it's probably going to be 3-0 at this point.
Let's see if Mafia is able to close it out in the quickest way possible. This might be, like, this has potential to become the quickest match so far in the OLS, but Clueless, they still have every chance, every opportunity. It's just that Mafia haven't really looked like the team to give away any freebies today. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, decisive 2-0 for Mafia. That's kind of what you want to do, especially because Clueless is perceived as probably one of the weaker, if not the weakest team in the league, right? So for Mafia, it's, especially after yesterday, losing that last chance qualifier to China, just put a bit of a marker down, make a statement, just, these guys, we'll just sweep them aside, no problems.
Yeah, and I think those are also 3 points that Mafia have definitely planned in their sheet towards advancing to the next stage of the OLS, towards going to the finals as well. So right now, everything going to plan for them, at least today. And for Clueless, it's time to, get some of those points on the board, because, like, it is only day 3 out of 7 in phase 1 here, but already, like, this trend of Clueless not taking any matches is kind of concerning for them if they want to make it further. And yeah, you said it, Ensk, they didn't really look too good in the qualifier stages, and on the other hand, you have the team of Mafia that, on Ensk, not the worst team, to make an understatement.
No, Mafia have played Ensk quite a bit. The thing that I find a bit unfair, though, is that you don't get 1 point in the league if you lose in tiebreaker, because that's pretty harsh, right? You get to tiebreaker and you lose 3-2, or in the later stages you lose 4-3 in best of 7s, and then you don't even get a point for it. It seems quite kind of brutal. So there's nothing really to show for.
The winner takes it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the prize pool. The winner only gets 50%, but that's still a lot.
The winner takes 50%.
Anyway, Clueless, let's go. Round number 1 on Ensk. It is going to be the Mouse, the CS63, 2268-4 for them. So TD meta. Once again, here we go, and W4.
Yeah, a lot of TDs being picked by both teams here. Mafia opting to go with double E3 though, which is a little bit, maybe a little bit surprising because E3's kind of fallen out of fashion of late. Obviously it got nerfed not too long ago with HP, but still apparently preferable. And they're bringing a batch out as well, which is kind of a... And Dady's bringing a CS63 as well, so it's unusual medium tank picks for an Ensk battle.
Yeah, obviously CS63, very mobile, a lot of DPM to go with it. On the other hand, Mafia, they do have that batch at 25T, so on the green, the CS is likely to get outspotted even. As Dady does push over, sees Ozek here in that E4, doesn't get spotted in return, but the Batchat by Mafia on that artillery strike is going to take it for essentially free, and YOLO in the WZTD is, yeah, just getting the point of information, and they're going to see everything. They see literally Clueless here, not deeply established actually in that city, starting to push on, and this is now problematic for Clueless as Krias takes 1500 damage to the face. That's 2 E-tank connections, I believe. But yeah, that's not the only problem. The other problem is that Clueless don't really know right now what exactly it is that Mafia is playing with. So far, they've taken a lot of big alpha hits, but that's kind of it. And finally, they get the spotting tower as well. And finally, they realize what they're up against. But at that point in time, their HP advantage melted away.
Yeah, they're in some pretty big trouble right now. If you look at the map, Mafia has total control of rails. They have total control of 8-9 line. They've got a Batchat in A9. They have strike and information as well. They have relative control over the cap, and they still have presence on the JK line. Baku is aiming this cross in his E3, so they will spot anything, and Clueless are really quite boxed in right now. They're only controlling about 25% of the map.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't control a lot of the map, that on the positive side means that when you decide to push some direction, you're bound to overwhelm the enemy there, hopefully. But I think that's a bit too much copium at this point in time. Mafia, they do realize now that, you know, literally Clueless, they're kind of happy in their corner of the map. So the cap does get started a bit over a minute still, and obviously Clueless have a strike to work with to be able to reset the cap. I believe it's the E3 currently in it. As reset, or did he go out? Not entirely sure. Now he went out in that E3, Conrad, that is. But yeah, the WZTD on the outside, on the green, once again instrumental with those points of interest here. Has just taken an RT strike, now is going to take the point of information, but hold that thought, Moth. Literally Clueless pushing the north.
Yeah, Clueless making a big repush, but it's been spotted out super early because Profuse was in A9 in the Batchat, and look at the damage already, and a strike comes in as well. They're 6k down, and they haven't done barely or if any damage to any Mafia tanks here, and they're still just pushing into no man's land. YOLO is going to be able to back out of that and run away to the support of his teammates. Profuse might get caught though, which should even things up a little bit, but the damage that's been done, I'm not sure it's enough.
Yeah, to be honest, slight misplay there by Profuse. Overstaying is welcome, taking 2.5k for his troubles, but I don't think that's going to remedy the situation. 17,000 HP versus barely 10k for Clueless. And Mafia now, they smell blood in the water. The gentlemen, they're coming in, and Krias is going to pay the ultimate price as he is going to be the first one to fall. YOLO does get striked as Krias bites the dust, but Mafia now in full-on assault in that northern part of the map. YOLO even able to do another shot of damage, drives out as the strike, is going to force another shot from that CS. But yeah, Mafia with a clean, with a stellar match 1 to open the day.
Yeah, just total domination from the side of Mafia. Really showing a strong display here. 3-0, and I think you're right, it's probably the fastest match that we've seen so far. The Cliff games went by so quickly. Ensk a little bit longer, but I just think this shows what I said earlier before this round even started, that I don't think Clueless really have any idea of how they want to play Ensk. They don't look comfortable on it at all.
Yeah, they ended up like taking that northwestern part of the map. Meanwhile, Mafia essentially taking the rest, and then all of a sudden they were like, wait a second, now we've taken the northwest, but the enemy team has taken everything else, so we need to do something because we're already behind in HP. We have to, you know, push them somewhere, but that north push wasn't it. The rails got punished too hard. The bat chat, I mean, even slight misplay there by Profuse, and he got punished for it. He ended up dying, which, to be honest, I don't think should be the case in that bat chat. But that mistake from Mafia ends up like not mattering at all. And it's going to be a clean 3-0 for them. And for Clueless, it's kind of like kind of concerning now.
Yeah, I think after what happened in the first 2 weeks, they kind of played above expectations, perhaps. Like, they lost against Storm 3-1, but they were still reasonably competitive in those games, and they lost against Solyanka, but of course there was mitigating circumstances with multiple disconnects which cost them a round or two. But this was pretty bad, right? And if Mafia is like considered one of the top teams in the league, up there with like Cashback, Hit and Run, and etc., it, you know, Clueless probably played Solyanka, which was the other team we perceive to be the weakest in the league, so it just doesn't look good right now going into the next rounds of play.
Yeah, no, definitely not what Clueless wanted to achieve today, the last day of the first day of the league. So they're going to be left with 3 points, and I think Mafia back on duty, I would say. An expected victory, and they ended up looking very strong, very clean. So good job by them, I guess. And this now leaves us to talk about, I guess, the coming matches for today, because that was a rather quick one to start it off. And we'll see if that trend continues. Last stream we had like 19 out of 20 possible games, I believe. Today, so far, 3 out of 5. And we are obviously, when we are going to be coming back, it is going to be Solyanka versus Storm. Storm should be the favored one in this matchup, but Solyanka already on day 1 of the league has managed to surprise, well, probably you, me definitely, and most likely a lot of other people. That being said, though, we'll be right back after some replays. Hopefully. unfolding on Westfield. It's lucky probably reloading HP at this point. He doesn't have any boots remaining, but he gets the shot. And now the clueless guys are showing.
You can dispraise me and you can condemn me for everything that brings me spark in my life. I was ashamed of my morals and principles, tried to achieve my own goals, choose my path.
We are not monsters, we are different believers we play. We are not monsters, we are the best in the game.
This year, the Onslaught Legends Series. This is your chance to make the event truly awesome by boosting the prize pool and getting a cool 2D style and other goodies in the process. Contribute now.
Well, hello there and welcome back for match number 2 of the day. First of all, you just saw it, the Onslaught Legends Series. Bundles are still live and we do have a little update for you regarding the prize pool, because obviously all of the proceedings of those bundles is going into that one, and it is now up to a whopping 56,696 euros. That means in American US dollars, I guess, that's even a bit more, so more than 57k. You can still contribute by buying the bundles, and for the diamond one, you even get a really cool badge. So definitely check that out. 50% of those this prize pool will go to the first of the series. 25% towards the second and third and fourth, both take home 12.5%. And also, starting on September 29th, we'll have the OLF, the Onslaught Legends Finals, for our friends across the pond going on. It'll be 4 teams from North America fighting it out for gold, bonds, glory, and cash, with the winner taking home 10k. Meanwhile, the second place is going to be taking home 5k US dollars. That being said, though, upcoming match, Solyanka against Storm. Moth, what's your take?
Yeah, well, these are the 2 teams, right, that are the only ones that haven't lost so far. We had Storm, who have gone 2-0, and Solyanka have gone 2-0 at the top of the leaderboard with 6 points apiece. Solyanka was the team that got the big upset, right? In match day number 1, they took down Hit and Run. It was actually 3-1, and I don't think anyone really expected that, even though Hit and Run have kind of been on this sort of shaky form of late, where sometimes they look really good and sometimes they just look terrible.
Yeah, indeed. I don't think really a lot of people saw that one coming, but Solyanka, they're looked really dominant on day 1 there against Hit and Run. On day 2, I think they were playing one of the weaker teams, if memory serves correctly. But now, once again, true test for this lineup here that is staring us blankly into the faces. But now they'll have to face off against the tried and tested lineup of Storm that are the EU first seed for China.
Yeah, EU first seed for China. They're obviously going to be... they're not expected to win, actually. 65% in favor of Solyanka after the performances in week 1 and match day 1 and match day 2. 35% versus 65%. I feel like that's a battle of the Ukrainian community versus the Polish community, just spamming votes for their respective countries.
It is indeed very interesting to see, but first of all, let's highlight one of those players from Storm that's so far been able to pull quite a lot of damage and just pull his team out ahead. It is Sir Jacob with 3.7k DPG. Pen rate 89% is obviously glorious in competitive Onslaught, and KD ratio of 1.0. It plays mostly Guerrilla CS and Minotauro. We've seen him picking that tank. It is quite the unusual pick, but so far for Storm it's been working out. And on the other side, Dreamer, once again the highlight. Not as much DPG, 100 less, but 1% higher pen rate and 3.0 KD. That's crazy.
Yeah, averaging 3 kills per round. That's kind of crazy. 90% hit rate, between 89 and 90%. That's pretty much where you want it to be. I think anything above about 80% hit rate is usually pretty good in any match, especially playing tanks like IS-7, 60p, and CS63. They don't necessarily have the highest pen, so they can be a little bit more tricky to play, especially if you're playing 60p in those 1v1 situations, right?
All right, that leads us into a map, a pick and ban. Solyanka going with Studzianki first, and Storm is answering with finally their home turf of Westfield. A lot of teams afraid to play against Storm on that map, and in my opinion, honestly, rightfully so. If it gets to it, we are going to end it on Airfield. But yeah, I am incredibly excited to see Storm return to Westfield, where they have made some absolute magic happen in the past. We're going to start off on Studzianki, however, and that is quite an interesting map, right?
Yeah, Studzianki is pretty much a mirror map, and there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can do, whether it's playing over the south versus the north. A lot of maps have kind of they're either sort of more heavy or city brawl orientated, and some of them are more like sort of field orientated light tank gameplay. But Studzianki kind of balances between the two. Predictions are actually split here, so you've gone with Solyanka Key. You liked what you saw last week?
Yeah, I did, and especially week 1 against Hit and Run. I was pretty impressed by Storm, and last Thursday, Daki had kind of that feeling to predict an upset. I wanted to do that today as well. So I did go with Solyanka. I think they might have great things coming for them. Daki out of the airplane to North America. He did predict a 3-1 for Storm, and you're going with that 3-2. So 2 of us saying tiebreaker, while Daki thinks that the most likely, I think, top dogs here in this match. I think Solyanka are kind of not the favorite team still, at least by a lot of people. Daki is saying the favorite is going to take it home 3-1. Both of those teams 2-0 so far, so this will be the first loss for one of them.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure about Storm. I know they are the champions from the Onslaught Legends Cup, but the way that their games went in the first 2 rounds, they played against Clueless and Conquest, I believe, which again we think they're the sort of weaker teams in the league, right? So I don't really know where the line is with Storm, whether they're going to step it up a notch, because it feels like at the moment they just kind of scrape through those wins, but obviously that is the most important thing, right?
All right, now Solyanka starting off with a tank that I believe we also haven't seen so far. E100 being picked by Vladislav, together with a 60 TP, an IS-7, a Mouse, a Badger 25T, a Badger, and a Rheinmetall.
Yeah, they're bringing one of everything, right? Storm sticking with the sort of established meta, which is 268v4 spam, bringing 2 of those. Double E3 as well. So 4 turretless TDs on a map that isn't necessarily as corridor as a map like Ensk, for example. We've got all double lights, both spotting out almost everyone. The batch out from Mineros does not get spotted from the side of Storm, though, and that could be key information that is denied here. Lucan going early towards the strike in A6. We've got Depressed, who's going to be in I7. I thought he was going to go for the radio tower for the information point, but he's just pushing straight into A5, just going to take that position. I don't think there's going to be an option to push over. Shelby does manage to spot out Lucan, who is already running away here, but Solyanka definitely want to play for the outside here.
Yeah, Solyanka taking control of that A5 position. They obviously don't know that Lucan in that RHM is running as far as he does right now, but now in comes Solyanka with a decisive push through that C line, taking 2 shots of damage on Dreamer already, though. That is a big price to pay for those 60 Ps. even those, they start off with a lot of HP, but even they tend to run out at some point. And man, that Storm lineup definitely doesn't look fun to push into. Double E3, double V4, those are tanks that you want to flank. You don't want to meet them head on.
Yeah, Storm have got this side of the map locked down at the moment. That was depressed. Moving in the open, the I7. He's now stuck behind that rock in A7. So Solyanka kind of brought to a halt here, and they're going to have to look to try and make something else happen. They're retaking the one line right now, so it's going to be a Batchat plus RHM 2v2 brawl there, and that will... it started now. The Batchat is spotted in the south, and you can see the E100 of Vladislav immediately aiming towards the south to try and tag Mineros, who takes a big one, getting clipped out by Viksha in the Batchat now. So initial trades in the south, and Mineros takes another one as well. So if Shelby and Viksha, when they want to repush here, they should be able to do so.
Oh, now, however, Viksha in that push, getting caught out, taking 2 by the Batchat, 2 by the Rheinmetall, down towards 900 HP. So now Mineros taking out the rage of having lost a lot of HP, gets put towards one shot, takes one last one by Mineros, but able to get out. That one somehow did not go in towards the main armor of the tank, and he is going to make a getaway. Dead driver for Viksha, and he gets picked up. It's DJ from downtown with that 268 before, throwing that shot like a quarterback, and it finds the correct target.
Yeah, Viksha getting picked up there. I believe he got planed, right? I think Mineros relayed the information to Lukin, and Lukin was like, yep, I can do that for you.
And the E100, man, it's a great tank, but not against 375 pen. That being said, Cap is super far already. 5 seconds left. One reset came through. Finally, Trash Panda in the mouse is able to halt the Cap momentarily, but he's fighting into an E3 plus a 60 TP. DJ also eyeing himself a little bit of that juicy mouse. Trash Panda down towards 200, and Vladislav, there's little that he can do with that E100 because he would be driving into once again a lot of TDs.
Yeah, Trash Panda just sacrificing his life right now to block the Cap, and he's taking so much damage, and now he goes down. He does get another reset right at the end, so the Cap is reset for another 40 seconds, but Storm, they don't care about that. They're just going to push off now. They have this HP lead. DJ and Milo are going to try and pincer maneuver Vladislav here. They're 2 guns up. They've still got all 7 alive in the game. Can Milo get the connection? He doesn't quite get the reload in to shoot Vladislav, who backs up around the corner, but everything's going in favor of Storm here.
Yeah, indeed. I think Milo had heat loaded, so Vladislav was presenting the track wheel, at which point in time you obviously don't want to shoot in the 60 TP. So good angling by Vladislav, but really it comes down to Trash Panda in that mouse, and it's going to be like the meme, right? They're going to ask him, well, what did you get? A reset. What did you have to pay for it? Everything. And that is exactly true. Sacrificing the entire mouse, and the big problem for Solyanka was, well, their Batchat was dead on its own. The Rheinmetall cannot really make the moves against 2 maps on the offside. And yeah, from there on out, it was just a losing battle everywhere, because Storm is going to take map control, is going to take angles. And overall, good start here for Storm.
Look at the HP management as well. All of them are like below half health, but they're all still alive. They did a brilliant job there of keeping everyone in the game, but Viksha also ultimately was the first domino to fall there, and they did good initial damage on Mineros, right? But I think Viksha kind of jumped the gun. He was like, oh, I've clipped him down to half HP. He's surely going to be running away now, so I will just push. But the timing really caught him out there, and he was on reload, so he couldn't even return fire. But you know, even if Solyanka won the south of the map, that's not necessarily a guarantee. Storm were making much better trades in the north.
Yeah, and you can see here, Viksha, he did get 2 shots into Mineros, but that's all she wrote for him. And Trash Panda, I mean, he was fighting into Crossfire against E3, 60 TP, V4, and that is not the place you want to be as a mouse. Definitely not. There is a lot of places where the mouse feels comfortable, but that wasn't one of them. And on the other side, I mean, also the damage spread, like Lukin with that RHM on bottom with 2.5k. This just speaks to the fact that Storm was able to get every single member of their team into the fight. Everyone was contributing. Uzek 777, absolute jackpot for him. Yeah, good job by Storm to start it off.
Yeah, perfect start. for them. Solyanka, not the ideal start, but you know it's only one round. But then again, it's best of 5, right? And we saw in the previous game between Matthew and Clueless, best of 5s end very quickly if you're not up to scratch.
Indeed. Best of 5s can end very quickly, and Storm now needs to be careful. Solyanka now needs to be careful that Storm, that was what I wanted to say, is not going to run away with it. Because this first round here, I think it all goes down towards, Solyanka trying to take like the outside strike, not really getting too much done with it. And then, you know, Storm was taking the complete other side, and then Vikshar made that play that was too early. Getting 2 shots into the Batchat and then essentially suiciding full HP against Batchat RHM combo. Yeah, just not what you want to see. And he, like, you cannot fault his motivation, right? The motivation was definitely there, but maybe there was too much of it.
Yeah, he just jumped the gun. But like I said, even if they won the South, I still think Storm might have ended up winning that game, just because you had Yuzek, who obviously was top damage. He had the I7 just pinned in the field the whole game, and Solyanka lost so much HP early on here, and that just happens sometimes. If you try to push through the AB line and you get locked down by an E3 just anchoring that position, it's kind of difficult to make anything happen unless you over push with your whole team.
Now, however, they do have the chance to make it better than the last round, and Solyanka, indeed, they need that one. They don't want to get down against match point of the opposing team here immediately after map 1. They do want that equalizer on the board. And so my guess is that they'll shake it up a little bit, because clearly their approach in game number 1 was not working like at all. 7-0 is not like a skill difference, it's just the tactic not working out. The initial punishment was too brutal. However, they are still going to bring that E100, it seems, together with an IS-4, an IS-7, a mouse, a Batchat, a Grilla. Okay, interesting Studzianki pick, but I don't hate it personally, together with an RHM.
Meanwhile, Storm, I believe that's an identical lineup from the previous game. Still double 268, still double E3, Batchat, 60p, Lukin on the RHM. So this was map was picked by Solyanka, right? They did pick Studzianki, so you would like to think that they've got something cooked up, ready to go with the Grilla. Normally, we would expect the Grilla in the beginning to be aiming for the information point on B3, the strike on A6, but if he gets spotted out, did he get lit at the start? He did. So Storm, with the information, they know that there is a Grilla, so it'll be interesting to see what Solyanka's going to do with this. They're going to go towards the south with the Grilla. There's only one Batchat that's going to meet them, so I guess their plan is to take control of the south and then allow the Grilla to get these nice crossfire sniping angles.
Alright, the IS-7 of Depressed actually gets reset here before he is able to take the information tower. Not sure if that was Lukin with the plane just waiting until the IS-7 was going to get spotted there, but I think, or I guess, good shot by Sir Jacob here to reset that information tower. And Lukin, I wouldn't hate it if he would fancy himself a little bit of that strike here, if he just plays that tiny little bit more aggressive, as Storm is now attempting that C-line push that we saw Solyanka try last round, and they got punished heavily for it. And now, however, Storm not yet spotted, and that is kind of crazy. They're in deep here, and they're still not spotted. Dreamer, no possibility to see this push coming even, and that IS-7 on the outside might just get overrun as Lucky is boosting over with his ability. This is going to come as such a nasty surprise. And indeed, Lucky here, I mean, he doesn't have his ability now because he spent it to get there fast, but Depressed, not even a penetration. It's only going to be the track, and he cannot go far back because Sir Jacob would be waiting there. So this is going to be a losing battle for the IS-7 of Depressed.
Yeah, it's pretty much a free tank that's going to get picked up. There's no one remotely in position to support him. It's just Dreamer in the 100, and look, this double TD here, just they're below him. His armor counts for absolutely nothing. Strike will come in, but it's not really enough to undo the damage that has been done here. Depressed does fall in the IS-7, and Solyanka are not even close to being able to make any kind of reaction.
Yeah, no, good focus fire, but Dreamer here in towards DJ. That is going to force the 268v4 a little bit off, but that still leaves a very, very hungry E3 that is below that E100 and can just penetrate that lower plate 11 out of 10 times. Lucky now getting tracked here in that V4, but he's going to possibly contribute another shot in towards the lower plate. Lucky, all right, decides to go for the turret cheek here. Good shot by him, and Dreamer is going to get picked up. This is going to make it 2 unanswered kills by Storm that are also up 3,000 HP. Viksha caught out in the open. This is just once again spiraling completely out of control.
Yeah, Viksha's caught in the middle of the open in his bat chat as well, trying to make some kind of repush. Lucan's just crossfiring him, and you know, Solyanka getting called out like that. Someone has to take responsibility in that situation to spot the B line, right? It should be probably Depressed who's doing it in the IS-7, but maybe he felt like he couldn't peek because they didn't have control of A5, A6. Lucan picks up the kill on Viksha, and there's just a few tanks remaining here from the side of Solyanka, and again, it's a classic case of they pick the map and then they lose 2-0 on it.
Yeah, that is kind of the theme for some teams. This time it's going to be happening towards Solyanka, and let's be real, Storm just absolutely taking this game number 2 by force, just like they did in game number 1. And yeah, now, you know, I said at the start I didn't hate the Gorilla pick. Now I'm kind of doubting it, because, I mean, hindsight is 2020, but yeah, it didn't feel like the Gorilla was having any kind of impact, to be honest.
It didn't have a chance to have an impact, right? The game was over before it even began, really. And once again, Storm, they're going to win the round. It's going to be 2-0. They haven't even lost a gun yet, unless Lucan doing some torpedo gameplay, but even he doesn't fall while actively trying to suicide. So Storm 2-0 without dropping a single gun.
And that is kind of crazy if you think about it, right? 14-0 kills here over 2 rounds. That is a statement by Storm. Not that we needed a lot more statements from them. They always let their gameplay speak for themselves, and right now it's looking pretty good. For Solyanka, they, you know, I predicted for them, and I stand by the prediction in the sense that when I made it, it was like, you know, maybe a bit cheeky, but it broadly makes sense at some point in time. But right now, they're just not living up to that potential. And I think all of this comes down to the fact that this C-line push by those TDs from Storm just ended up not getting spotted. The IS-7 caught out of the position. The next domino stone was the E100 to topple over. And from there on out, I mean, Storm just drove it home. It was tactical domination. It was methodical, clean gameplay coming out from the boys from Poland.
Yeah, 2 decisive wins. This is kind of what I wanted to see from Storm. I wanted this sort of assurance that they are like the quality of team that we think they are, because like I said, in the first 2 games they played, they didn't necessarily look quite so dominant. And now we're going into their favorite map, right? So they've picked up 2-0 and 2 commanding wins on their not their map pick, and now we're going into their sort of de facto home turf of Westfield. I don't think they do anything sort of remarkably different to anyone else on Westfield. I think the way they play it is just their positioning and their focus fire is just like super clean, right?
I think the thing that they do differently on Westfield is that they just play better than everyone else, because
yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah, they like the micro positioning is, I think, the difference. Their players just seem to know, like, hey, I need to stand those 2 meters more to the left to get that 0.3 degrees more of gun depression to be able to make my shot. Or like, hey, we want to get pushed right now. We need to set up exactly in this way for it to take the most toll from the opponents that want to push us right now. Or the other case, hey, we are supposed to push. These are the targets that we need to go for. This is what we need to prioritize. I think they're just that tad quicker than all the other teams right now on Westfield. And now that we've said it, Moff, we've probably cursed them.
We will have a slight delay because of a player crash, so there is going to be a restart. I suppose the question is, because Solyanka, they could have banned out Westfield, right? And the other team should know that Storm, this is their favorite map, and they will pick it if they get the opportunity to. So Solyanka let it go in the veto, right? They allowed them to pick it. So I'm more, well, maybe Storm would have evolved their strategy, but I'm more curious to see what Solyanka will bring, right? Because they are the team that's like, okay, do you think this is your best map? We will try and take the fight to you, and we will try and counter you in some way.
Indeed, just like the statement that was just made by Storm by getting 14-0 kills, that's also going to be detrimental towards the Solyanka player stats, by the way. Picking Westfield against Storm is a choice to make, I think is the best way to put it. Whether it's a smart choice, I don't know. But it definitely is an interesting one. And I think this is the first time ever that we are going to see Storm on Westfield since the OLC number 3, where they qualified for the LAN in Chengdu, right? So this will be the first reality check that we get from Storm on what is supposed to be their strongest map. And like a lot of teams ended up banning it out just because of what Storm did in that OLC number 3 that we keep referencing, just because that looked so scary and so like well put together from all 7 players as a unit. Solyanka gonna try to break that against Matchpoint here. And yeah, I mean, I will leave the Storm lineup to you. First of all, Solyanka, I think fairly normal, even though triple Bliskovica is an interesting choice, together with a batch of BZ75, V4, and RHM.
Have you ever seen so many British tanks picked in a lineup since the days of the Chieftain meta? Oh, come on, he switched away from another Badger there. But look at that, there's 5 tank destroyers there, 3 Bliskovicas, double Badgers. They've got only 2 tanks that actually have fully rotating turrets. They've got the Sentei X, of course, for the Inspire ability, but that is a very, very punchy lineup.
Yeah, Minaro's obviously with that TVP. We didn't see any TVPs during the first 2 days, and now we are getting treated to a third one here in match number 2 only. That's going to be interesting to see if Minaros is able to Fortnite dance his way all over the Solyanka team, or if they will finally be able to pick up a round. Well, first of all, he's getting styled upon. 2 shots connecting in towards Minaros.
Yeah, that TVP is very squishy, and now he has only 1400 health remaining, so bad start there. Shelby has already taken the strike in the south, and Vladislav is taking the other strike, and this crossfire that's set up here with Viksha, the strikes come in as well. Lackey gets tracked because those abilities with the TDs, they only get 1 shot of track health. Lukin taking a lot of damage crossing as well. Lackey is unable to go into the dip with the rest of them. Viksha now has got to fight it out on his own, but they're trading off it by taking down Lackey on the other side.
Indeed, now Trash Panda is the first one to pick up that kill, but Vikshare, he's fighting tooth and nail in that dip against that double Bliska that is pushing him. Katsanka and the Badger getting the second pickup. However, there's a 7 guns versus 5 right now. A lot of effective DPM for the team of Solyanka that are fighting versus only 4. Make that 3 tanks of Storm. The focus fire coming out from that Solyanka team is absolutely brutal. Even Yuzak not able to get that first kill on towards that BZ in the dip here as BZ makes a getaway, and I think Solyanka might have done it here in round number 3 on the match on the home turf of Storm. They are getting their first victory.
Damn.
Damn,
what
boy.
What a display. The trend continues, Key, of teams just losing their own map picks, but like I was trying to allude to before the game started, Storm, they mixed it up, right? That wasn't a lineup that they brought on Westfield in the past. Of course, the meta has changed since then, so they've adopted some new strats as well, but that just did not work at all, and Solyanka were more than prepared for it.
It almost looked like a counter strat, right? The TVP on the cross taking 2 shots from those Bliskas, that's going to be brutal because the TVP is such an instrumental tank in the later stages of the game. And then one of the Bliskas immediately getting blown up, not even getting to cross towards that BZ. And once again, we have a 7-0 on our hands. And Moff, I'm sad to break the news to you, but yeah, Britannia rule the waves, but not the hills of Westfield.
You know, there's no water on this map, that's the problem. Yeah, 7-0 again, though. We've only had 7-0s in this match so far.
I mean, if if there is any kind of way to get back into this match, then I think Solyanka just found it, because like you get 7-0 2 times in a row and you're like, all right, this is how you're gonna play. We can play that Uno reverse card as well.
Yeah, these matches go by very quickly though. Like that was one round of Westfield in about 2 minutes there, and they're still facing match point here because of the 2 opening rounds that they lost.
I mean, your guessing wasn't that far off. I just checked it, 1 minute and 51 seconds. It obviously doesn't even come close towards that Conquest victory on Pilsen that we had. That was like 1 minute 15 or something with a cap. But yeah, that was a very, very quick round here. And Solyanka are looking to repeat that, to bring it to tiebreaker, right? Because like, it doesn't matter how cool you look in singular rounds and how much you actually wipe the floor with your opponent. If you end up losing the match, yeah, that looked cool maybe, but next week, no one is going to remember.
Yeah, I think not the double TD, the 5 TD strategy, it's very... On a map like Westfield, I know the TD meta is dominant on pretty much every map, but on a map like Westfield, with the way the terrain is and the fact that you need to be constantly turning around for brawls, I don't think it's going to be like, as the league unfolds and we probably play more matches, I don't think it's going to be the case on Westfield. I don't think it should be the case.
So I think what both teams were banking on with that amount of TDs was that, the opposing team would maybe play outside, and then they can take the cap with those TDs, and then they can counter push into some isolated opponents. But since both teams played it, and Solyanka got the better initial trades on towards the TVP, and they also had that RHM to be able to just roam the map, so they even had like a long-term option available to them if that BZ ends up dying in the hole. I think that makes the Solyanka lineup from last round just superior. We'll see if they're able to repeat it. Okay, not sure if I'm the biggest fan of the Solyanka lineup, actually, simply because I dislike the STB one thoroughly. But maybe Viksha will be able to make it work. Vladislav with that CS, double BZ, a singular Badger once again, then Nabluska and Shelby with that RHM.
Yeah, I strongly agree with the STB point. I would much rather have 10 degrees of gun depression than hydraulic suspension any day. STB is just really, really annoying to play on a ridgeline because of that. Both teams, though, they have rolled it back a little bit with the TD spam, right? Like, both teams brought 5 in the previous game. Storm are now bringing 3. This time Solyanka are only playing with 2, and both teams are playing for a bit more of self-control.
Yeah, so both teams switching it up here. A lot of information gained by both of the light tanks, and this now means that it'll be very interesting from here on out. First of all, Vladislav in that CS63 gets the full information here. Not sure why Shelby Walk felt the need to go this close towards the opponents, because the CS was generating the information anyway. But now Storm, they do take full-on southeast control. They're going to get the strike for their efforts, and that one can be quite big as Jacob drives in towards that second strike. And as it was buffed, that would be a lot of damage. Trash Panda taking a beating in towards the side of his BZ75, but now Viksha and Depressed are looking for the jump on towards Alex here. Depressed getting counted a little bit in that Bliskovica, but Alex needs to be so careful. But yeah, Viksha with that STB, I agree with you. It's not that great on the ridgeline, but it all doesn't matter when you have buddies and friends to support you. The power of friendship on the team of Solyanka able to best Alex.
Yeah, Viksha's got to run away now, but he is going to get caught and take at least a little bit of damage, but he will be able to get out, which is the most important thing. Solyanka still have the high ground here, and they're putting Crossfire on. They got Vladislav in the CS63 in the south. Shelby may have committed a little bit too far here in his RHM. They are going to just immediately go and jump on towards him, and that could be letting Storm back into the game here. The Cent AX is going to have HE loaded up and ready to go, but he's taken a lot of damage and actually elects to bail out the situation. Vladislav coming back in to save his RHM, help him out, so that 2v2 is on the hold for now.
2v2 on hold for now as there's tanks aiming from the northwestern part of the map to possibly give a shot in towards the opponents there. And so Jacob taking the brunt of the damage right now in that Bluskavitsa. Yuzek, the Bluskavitsa buddy there down towards one shot, needs to be very careful. And now the problems become apparent for Storm. Not only are they not able to thoroughly secure the southeast, Solyanka have also taken the northwest around the cap. And this just means that this is a big concave, a big surround coming out from the Solyanka tanks. Yes, Trash Panda taking a lot of damage, but able to pick up a gun in return. He gets striked, so he's on a possible one-shot for some tanks as well. But if the kills keep on coming by Solyanka, it might not matter. The damage, or the HP rather, still kind of close. And so Jacob with an all or nothing push, but his engine got damaged. He wasn't able to turn around in time. He does get the kill, but he falls.
Jacob just absolutely ruined the stat from this game that everyone from the winning team stays alive. He does pick up the kill on Trash Panda, but that is not going to make one bit of difference to the outcome of this game. And it's just a complete reversal, isn't it? Like the Studs Yankee game, Solyanka, they picked it and they look completely lost. And now on Westfield, Storm look like they have no idea what's going on. They're just completely caught in crossfire. They allowed Solyanka to have control of the cap and the top side, which meant they can just overpeak at leisure whenever they feel like it. The Badger now, Katsank pushing in with the DPM.
Even the bounce by DJ on that lower plate of the Badger, like it's not a 100% pen. Lukin now getting found on the other side as well, and only the Centurion Action X remaining here for Minairos. But yeah, this was not the Westfield performance that we were used to from Storm. Maybe they still need like some time to adjust to the meta changes that happened with 1.26, right? With the adjustments to a lot of tanks, to a lot of mechanics in Onslaught. But this is not the team that we saw during OLC number 3, literally or virtually undefeated on Westfield. They looked like king of the hill, right? But no, this was not it, and this is going to force the tiebreaker. We love to see it.
Yeah, we hyped them up way too much on this map. Way too much. And it kind of goes back to something I wanted to talk about, which is just the general unpredictable nature of Onslaught. In old format 7v7, right, it felt so much more predictable due to the stale nature. But with Onslaught, with all of the different combinations of different tanks that you can pick and the strats that you can run, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface as to how teams want to play this mode. So we just get these results where it's like, surely this team will be completely dominant and there will be no upset whatsoever. We just get these very, very unpredictable results.
And that's the interesting thing, right? Because I think every map in the pool of the OLS now has sort of a quote-unquote standard way to play it. So I think that kind of meta has already emerged. But obviously with that Fog of War, with the slight nerf to the LT ability especially, Fog of War becomes incredibly more important. Airfield going to be tiebreaker, by the way, but I want to elaborate on that point a little bit. You can pick lineups that can come as a complete surprise, and thus you can try to meta counter. And those tactics might only work once, but they only need to work once for you to get that win on the board.
Yeah, Fog of War is always going to increase the randomness, right? Like you will know as well, playing those old clan wars where it's just Fog of War and then the enemy team can just rush one side of the map with 15 Object 260s, for example. It can be very difficult to make anything happen. There is the score. It is 2-2, so we are going to tiebreaker, which will be Airfield, if I'm not mistaken.
And I can also give you that little heads up. It was Solyanka picking, most likely because of that first Westfield victory, which was incredibly fast, and they did pick East. So it is going to be Solyanka spawning on East, and it is going to be Storm spawning from the western side. Now, is there any kind of like big advantage towards the East, or do you think it's just team preference?
I was trying to work that out in my head. I was thinking, is there actually any benefit to picking the East side? I think if you play East you go for the north information point, you do have more bushes that you can play from an advanced position from if you send a Batchat or a CS there, for example. So maybe there's that. Apart from that, I'm not really sure. Maybe we're showing our lack of analytical skills here, but I'm not really sure what benefit it provides other than that.
I mean, from the east, you have kind of the TD position from randoms, which, you know, helps.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Which kind of can help into the cap, but like those rocks there have been reworked in a way where you can also realistically just stay safe. I talked about it with Ducky the other day as well, and he said, well, there is essentially no big advantage to either side. The only small advantage you have is what we just saw in the middle in the ruins in that amphitheater. You have a minuscule, really a minuscule advantage if you send something like an Ice 7 there for spotting. But first of all, you know, you want to do that. Talking about Ducky, by the way, his prediction obviously down the drain already. It's not going to be a 3-1 for Storm or any team for that matter. It's going to be between one of us, Moth.
It's me or you, Keyhand. You got to back Solyanka to do another upset as well. If they win this, then they will be top of the league, right? Because Storm is the only other team that's on max points right now.
Yes. This is literally going to be the deciding game about who is going to be first after day 3 of the league. Now, going into this one, I think the only tanks, really, that we haven't seen so far, which might make an appearance, are E50M and, well, Jagdpanzer. Maybe Airfield lends itself to a Jagdpanzer, in my opinion, but both of those teams seemingly not opting to pick it. Solyanka coming out on the tiebreaker here. They want to get to point number 9 in their league scoreboard. It is 1 Blisker, double Batchat, 1 Mouse, 1 BZ, double 60 TP.
Meanwhile, Storm are bringing double 60 TP, a CS, TVP, which is quite rare on this map, Bliskovica, Minotaur, and an E4. I think the reason they don't pick Jagdpanzer on this map, I think E4 is just a little bit more flexible. Of course, it has a sort of half-rotating turret, which can help out quite a bit. Lucan, you can see he's got the little shield above his head, activating his ability, just so he can get into position at the start to try and aim on the cross. It looks like Viksha, he's not actually going to commit, so no early gambits being made by the side of Solyanka.
Meanwhile, though, so Jacob getting spotted, I think that's by the Batchat from the outside, so he's not going to go in towards the strike. That being said, Yuzek taking a truck ton of damage, though, for going to the balcony, not how he wanted to start off the game. Katsunk on the other side has taken 1 hit as well, but this trade's certainly favoring Solyanka to start off with. If we take a look at the minimap, however, Storm is a lot more mobile, rotating around, sending Lucky in that 60 TP together with Minairos, the TVP, plus the CS63 of Sir Jacob, all of them towards the south. This, however, means that they're going to give up the northern airstrike, which now gets taken by Depressed.
Yeah, we sort of got a classic split on the airfield that's similar to what you would see in random Onslaught, where one team takes control of the north strike and then has sort of the information point. Although Solyanka haven't committed for that in the Batchats, they're both kind of lurking in the back right now. They don't really want to commit to this play, even though if they went for it at this exact moment, there's not really anyone from the side of Storm aiming for it.
Ooh, DJ making it through into the cap without getting spotted even. That is going to be, I mean, not huge, but kind of big, as Minero's taking 1 by the Bliskovica of Katsunk. He obviously doesn't take that much damage. The different, or like, it was quite a distance away. So the Bliska APCR obviously losing a bit of damage there. But yeah, that Minotauro of DJ in the cap, this is going to be annoying for the Mouses to deal with, as Shelby does start to boost through because he wants to actually take shots. Not that many, however, but the Batchat has now taken the outside information point, or is almost done with that. So yeah, Shelby, I guess, tanking it out for the team, but tanking a bit more than he wanted to.
He's trading HP for position there, but I'm not really sure what that really gives him. I guess he wanted to make that so that Viksha could cross in the Batchat relatively for free. What I'm curious about right now, though, is DJ's position. If he has like a slight hold down in his Minotaur that he's actually able to just reset the cap from.
I think he is just playing well with like sort of the angles there, just forcing them off. And the Minotauro really can't do that. If you show like the outside of your lower plate and you angle it correctly, there's a high likelihood the opponents will bounce. And this is now kind of getting problematic here for the team of Solyanka. Down to 30 seconds, I believe the 60 TP is still holding on to the airstrike. Both of them actually. Dreamer and Depressed, they have one available. And one of these strikes does get used now. Reset coming through. So, yeah. As the dust settles, Solyanka still up 2k HP, and they still have a strike available.
Yeah, so Jacob getting spotted out, trading with Vladislav, but he is spotted pushing through here, but he's trying to bait, and now he's going back the other way, so he's going to make Vladislav, or at least trying to make him a bit paranoid, but Vladislav just doesn't care. He's actually clipping out on towards Lackey, but still a bit of a stalemate going on between these two teams. Solyanka seem pretty happy to just keep collecting strikes on both of their 60 TPs, which is allowing them to just constantly reset the cap.
And that is all that you realistically need to do, I believe, as Solyanka, because I think they have done more damage at this point in time. This means with no kills on the board at the moment, they would be taking the round victory. Now, Storm, they are capping, and obviously if the cap goes through, that does kind of beat any damage done here. But once again, the Batchat of Victor is going to take the information tower. Is he going to use it immediately? Seems like no. So this is going to be another looming threat. Now he does use it. Now full information once again available for Solyanka. Do they judge the positions favorable enough to make a move right now? Seems like no.
Yeah, and Solyanka again collecting another strike. If this continues like this, Storm cannot collect that strike in G5, G6 because Vladislav in the Batchat. Ooh, Lackey's pushing forwards here, crossing in the open. Katsang putting in a good shot. Vladislav clipping out in the Batchat as well. So really bad trades going on there. 3k HP down now for the side of Storm. They're trying to find angles here to perhaps pick off Shelby, but he is pretty safe right there, and if they do want to make this peak, they're going to have to trade quite a bit of HP for it.
Ooh, is he though? Shelby peeking forward, and Milo putting a good one into that BZ75. Does decide to commit down now, is going for the throat against Shelby Walk here, who will probably do one more shot of damage against Milo, but that's going to be all she wrote surely for that BZ75. Dreamer now coming over to help his buddy. Milo, not sure, did he bounce? Did he not connect? Lucky is going down in that 60 TP on the other side of the map. In comes the strike. Shelby down towards 286, but still alive and kicking. Solyanka, they've secured an HP advantage for themselves, and they're somehow able to keep Katsunk alive on 57.
Yeah, Milo committing into that ditch there, though. No one else can really support him. The CS is trying to put in some peppered shots from the back. Actually did a pretty good strike for a mini CS one there, but they're still up in HP for the side of Solyanka, and they're 2 guns up as well. They've managed to keep everyone alive, including Shelby, who was down for a one-shot for quite a long time. Trash Panda's going to have to back off from this situation in his mouse, though. Can't really tango with the Minotauro of DJ right there. But it's looking pretty good for Solyanka at the moment.
Yeah, Solyanka so far pretty solid. They need to be careful not to hand away this HP advantage that they have now. Vladislav is going to take yet another strike. Maybe this one is going to take claim another life. Currently, I don't think they're able to. But yeah, Vladislav is going to hang on for the strike for the minute as Katsunk is taking yet another one. And all of a sudden you go from 400 to 800 damage potential in between both of those strikes. And if we take a look at the lineup of Storm, there's 2 tanks with less than 800 HP. Both Yuzek and Sir Jacob might be targeted by that double strike, and that is scary because Victor is just sitting there waiting and not even wishing, but just waiting for those 23 seconds to be over. And then once again, he'll take the information, and I believe we should be seeing a kill coming through then.
Yeah, the side of Solyanka, they still have they've got 2 strikes on 2 players right now. They're probably going to pick up another one when the cooldown ends again, and they are just slowly peppering Storm to death. They're just punishing them for not contesting these strikes at any point in the game here. DJ poking up in the Minotauro, but like there's nothing he can really do here. We've got 3 tanks from Solyanka kind of stuck in this position, and they would be primed for the striking, but there's no strike available.
Strikes got used, and good job by the team of Solyanka for, I think, doing the right decision. They had the choice essentially between Uzek and the CS63 of Sir Jacob, and they picked the CS63. This removes basically one fast roaming medium once again, and now Storm down towards 4 tanks here. They have Lukin on the one shot in that E4. Might even be going down, not sure, against Trash Panda, who's now starting to push Uzek, and I think the mouse should have the reload advantage. Trash Panda decides not to go for it. I mean, he doesn't need to at this point in the game. No, I don't agree with this peak by him, but it doesn't matter because their team is so far ahead. 3 people still alive for Storm, but slowly and surely, Solyanka is starting to close in. Quick double kill, only DJ remains.
Just asserting dominance and flexing by throwing away your tank because you know that it makes absolutely no difference to the outcome of the battle. DJ gets circled by the Batchat hit squad, and Solyanka, the team that we probably thought would be one of the weaker ones, is actually going to find themselves top of the league right now.
Yeah, talking about positive surprises, not only is my prediction correct, Solyanka is going to secure themselves the undisputed and uncontested place #1 on the leaderboard. So congratulations to them. Obviously, we're not even halfway through stage 1 of the OLS, but I think that is, yeah, that is unexpected coming from them, but a welcome surprise for a lot of people, surely.
Yeah, look at Vladislav as well, doing 5.2k in the Batchat. That's pretty good effectiveness considering he was sniping from the back and just sort of covering his team's spawn for most of the game there. And that was, yes, pretty big turnaround, right? Like, it was 2-0 on Studzianki, and they managed to pick up Storm's own map pick, their home turf of Westfield, 2-0. And this match just completely flipped around after Studzianki was over. We had both teams taking dominant wins in pretty much every round they won, right?
I mean, this last round here was, I would say, not as dominant as the 4 before, but still it was Solyanka firmly in control. There were a couple tipping points, I think. For example, Shelby not dying in that BZ-75, the constant strike controls, the focusing of these strikes on the correct tanks. But in the end, I think Solyanka did a lot of things very right, especially on that last airfield. They also ended up smashing Storm on Westfield, and I think the importance of this cannot be understated, especially also for the other teams, because they were like, all right, oh well, it's Storm. Can we like not play Westfield against them? I think this kind of reaction is, well, maybe not completely, but it's going to partially fade, partially subside.
Yeah, I saw Solyanka, the first team to like dip their toe in the water, and it's like, come on in, guys, the water's fine. You can pick Westfield against Storm, but no need to worry.
Temperature
whatsoever.
is perfect, guys, perfect.
Yes.
All right, that being said, Solyanka versus Storm now over. Hit and Run versus Cashback is going to be the up-and-coming match, and yeah, that's going to be quite the cracker. We already touched on it. Hit and Run yesterday, securing their China spot from Cashback, actually, who are unable to attend WCI. So that's certainly going to be a very spicy up-and-coming match. Also, I think, if memory serves correctly, both of those teams currently have the opportunity to maybe even surpass the team of Storm in the leaderboard. So it's going to be a highly contested match, and we are going to watch that just after some replays of the upset that we were just witnesses of. Well, hello there, and welcome back to match number 3. And Moff, hopefully it's going to be as exciting as the one we just saw.
Hopefully. It's Cashback against Hit and Run. We've got the team that will be going to China after all. It was a big shock that they weren't going to go, but turns out they are going. And Cashback with an opportunity. They can't go to China, unfortunately, due to visa issues. So they're going to look to focus fully on the Onslaught Legends series and strike hard here.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully a banger of a match. First of all, for those of you who haven't heard about it yet, if you haven't logged into the game in quite some time, or if you know your friends that haven't logged in for quite some time, currently the Back in Action campaign is going on. It's going to be going on until September 23rd. That means log in until then. You get a ton of goodies, you get some cool rental tanks, and a lot of stuff on top, just for logging back into the game in World of Tanks. I believe the lowest cutoff is like 60 days of inactivity. That's 2 months. That's quite the long time, but it can also be quite the short time sometimes. So check that out. And now our focus should be back on towards this up and coming match. It's going to be Hit and Run versus Cashback. And yeah, I did get my last prediction correct. Somehow it was like kind of tingling. Solyanka is going to do another upset here. Really, after yesterday especially, where Hit and Run and Mafia had the greatest of all series against each other, I don't know what to expect, because Cashback is a crazy good team with player skill off the chart. But yesterday, Hit and Run, a team that we have doubted recently a lot, have shown that they're still on top of their game.
Yeah, they're still a force to be reckoned with in the Onslaught format, but more recently it's been hit or miss rather than hit or run, right? Hit and run. So Cashback, obviously they're sort of Onslaught pros, right? We've got Liberty in there, who's one of the best players in Onslaught random queue. The whole team is absolutely stacked, right? So, but they also had really surprising defeat last week. The predictions, again, a very weird prediction, 77% in favor of Hit and Run versus Cashback. This one is definitely more 50-50 in my mind.
It is. I mean, right now for me, it's an absolute coin flip. With Hit and Run having that super important match yesterday, best of 9, and it did go the distance. And for those of you that watched it or that didn't watch, Hit and Run was using quite a few let's say unconventional strategies. There was something with not committing corner on El Halouf, using a 13-105 instead. As crazy as it sounds, it happens, and now comes the big surprise even. They ended up winning that round. That means they used maybe a lot of burn strategies, right? A few of those forbidden ones. You can use them once, but after that, they're used up. Like teams will watch that and they will know to adjust how to not lose against this. Now, we touched on it already. Liberty by Cashback. He is one of, if not the best RHM player on the server. He's an absolute machine. That guy is the most scary RHM you're going to meet on the field. He trains so much in that tank. It feels like, you know, as soon as Onslaught as a mode becomes active, he, you know, gets up, drives the RHM, goes back to sleep. That's sort of his daily schedule. He's absolutely crazy. 70% pen rate, not that high. Then again, the RHM itself, you know, doesn't have the best of pens. Sometimes you end up shooting HE, which can be kind of funky. 2.3 KD is pretty good. Average damage still 3.3. So yeah, he is an absolute beast of a player.
Yeah, 3.3k average, especially when you're maining light tanks in the majority of situations, is pretty good, but you do end up racking up a fair bit of damage in the late round in those RHMs. I remember when the season started for Onslaught, and it was on like day 1 or day 2, and someone tells me, oh yeah, Liberty's already at 4k points after like 1 day or something. It's just insane numbers. Ketsai, however, from the side of Hit and Run, also putting up some pretty strong numbers himself. Over 4k average damage in the Onslaught Legends series so far, which is an insanely good DPG, considering it's a competitive competitive mode, he does, of course, main the sort of high skill cap tanks to the side of hit and run, put in those damage dealing positions in the Sentei X, the Bat Chat, 60 TP, of course, as well.
Yeah, exactly. And him doing 4.1k DPG on high skill cap tanks, well, that means he seems to be a high skilled player. No wonder that he's here in the OLS. But yeah, he has been showing up quite substantially for his team. And maps mob are quite interesting. Hit and run picking Cliff. We already saw it once today, and it was kind of one-sided. Cashback is going to throw the Moravanka pick in Hit and Run's faces. All right. For those of you that do remember, Moravanka yesterday, the tiebreaker in between Hit and Run and Mafia, with a better end for Hit and Run. And then if it comes to it, Westfield would be our decider. But yeah, first of all, Cliff, it wasn't really played that often in the first 2 days of the OLS. Now it enjoys quite the popularity on this day 3.
Yeah, I think teams will be more open to rotating the map picks that they allow, depending on the team that they're playing against, of course. Some teams have like 1 or 2 maps that they like to permaban, and some of the teams are sort of changing their map pick and bans depending on who they play against. Cliff being picked first, we know that's normally been quite a stronghold for the likes of Hit and Run. Cashback usually like to avoid that map, but they have allowed it to go through here, so we'll see what they've got to face the might of Hit and Run.
Yeah, and now we do have Moravanka coming up again as map number 2. Moravanka, it is the most recent addition to the map pool, and despite now 2 days of the OLS being played and Moravanka being, in my opinion, picked a surprising amount of times, I don't think we are there yet when it comes to the meta settling.
No, I think there's still a lot of scope as to what people are going to do. With what we've seen a lot so far is teams committing straight into the cap circle with 3 tank destroyers, and it's been very, very close to getting capped out and even being capped out on a number of occasions. So we'll see how these teams are going to adapt to that information that's been presented towards them, right?
Yeah, I mean, Cliff is one of those maps that can even be won on opening. We saw that earlier today, where Clueless was unable to deal with the pressure coming out from Mafia. And once again, we have split predictions here. I am saying it is going to be rather smooth sailing for Cashback. That is because I think that Hit and Run, yes, they're coming off of the hype from yesterday, but they spent quite a few strats, while Cashback didn't have to reveal that many. Ducky's saying 3-2, so Cashback believer, but tiebreaker, and the same goes for you, but for Hit and Run.
I don't know what to believe anymore, Key, with the predictions. It's just every time we think that there's sort of an established pecking order of, oh, this team is the best and this team is the best, it just gets completely flipped on its head, like we've seen with Solianka, who are now top of the league, of course. Anyway, lineups going to this first game, I already see something highly unorthodox for a game of Cliff. Not sure if that's going to get changed, but that is Liberty bringing the Badger for the side of Cashback.
Indeed, 1 Badger, 1 Fosh-B, triple bat. Not sure I am a fan at this point in time. All right, so it is going to be still 5 autoloaders for Cashback. Triple bat, double Fosh, 1 Senti, and the BZ. And for Hit and Run, 3 autoloaders.
Yeah, double 50B, 1 bat, double CS, and double BZ. Very, very, very squishy lineup from the side of Cashback. If they cannot make those autoloaders sing, then this game will be very, very fast. Both teams doing a bit of a split in the beginning, so we're going to have a 1-2 brawl and mid brawl at the start. Squeezy leading the charge with the double Fosh-B behind him. It's going to be double 50B versus double Fosh-B, so we'll see who wins that.
Well, let's see here. Piotr is taking the stone, and now the double Fosh-B is going to become apparent soon. The 50Bs opting out of driving in because they are probably afraid of that Fosh-B, and rightfully so. However, the triple bat shot by Cashback starting to come in here as a swooping ball of death. They are looking to pick up Monster in that CS63, who is in that C2 position currently. The Force are trading it out here with those 50Bs, and now Liberty, we can see he still has 4 shells remaining. Same thing for I said, as Piotr is going to try to do what he can, but those shots in those Fosh-Bs should be sufficient.
Yeah, the double Foch B pushing across towards Piotr. There's not really anywhere for him to go. Eyes still has shots and does pick up the kill. The double 50B have to bail out of the situation. Monster dropped off into the low ground, but he climbs back up now to avoid getting shot from the low ground. He's going to start focusing out on towards Barbarian, but Barbarian is ignoring him completely. He's actually focusing out the 50Bs on lower side. The focus fire coming in here for the side of Cashback. They're now leading in guns and HP. And it looks like they're going to lose the top side, but they should be able to pick up the likes of Monster and the 50Bs.
Oh man, Moth 2013 wants his meta back. It is a mayhem, really, of Batchats driving on Cliff, and it's absolutely beautiful to see here. Cashback picking off gun after gun after gun, and it's going to be Monster falling next. It is 3 tanks remaining for the team in white. Hit and run here, hanging on to dear life, but not much longer. As I said, the next autoloader claims yet another life. Barbarian Barik is going to kill Mentos, and now only T-Sec remaining, probably wondering where it all went wrong.
Yeah, it's going to be another 7-0 on the board today, unless Twilight gets a little bit too cheeky in trying to pad his stats a bit there. T-Sec does have 1 shell remaining, and he is waiting for Twilight to creep on over. I'm very familiar with this part of the map, as EBR racers will know you drop down quite a bit.
Oh,
into that
you
little,
saved it there. I'm very familiar with this part of the map.
No,
from
no, no,
EBR
no, no, no,
races.
no, no.
You saved it barely.
Not the other 10 class. Not the other 10 class.
But yeah, as we go into this 1-0 here, and Cashback, I have to say, it looked absolutely beautiful. I have been a Batchat enjoyer for over a decade now, and seeing this just warmed my heart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice throwback to years gone by. I mean, we used to even see 7 Batchats being brought on Cliff, and I think this is the first time that so many Batchats or so many autoloaders have been brought, and it's actually worked out. Like,
yeah, true.
Every game that we've seen previously, it's just like, yeah, Batchats, and then they just die, and it's just over.
Yeah, I mean, the Batchat is obviously a tank with a lot of potential, a lot of power to be tapped into, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of a glass cannon, and the glass was more prevalent than the cannon part so far in most of the matches where there were a lot of Batchats, but we do see, and Cashback demonstrates how out of control this can get if those Batchats are able to get that good first clip, and then they get the reload ability, and 10 seconds later they have the second clip available. So it's hard to make it work. Cashback just managed to do so against Hit and Run, no less.
It looked like a pretty well countered strat from the side of Cashback, right? But as we mentioned in the previous games when we saw Mafia against Clueless, sometimes that's just the way it goes on Cliff. When you get hard countered on these openings, there's not really much that the double 50B can actually do from the lower side of the map, because at no point in the game did Cashback try to go up the hill, which is normally what they're there for, to clip people going up the hill. And the double Foch B on the 1-2 line, they just charge at you, and they have this ability where if you shoot them while it's up, then they just heal back most of the HP, and 50Bs obviously have a clip, so you can't deliver this constant damage to eventually take down the Foch Bs.
Mm-hmm. Another interesting fact about the past game, neither team actually picked a TD with a Juggernaut ability. I think Cliff, one of the very few maps right now where that happens. Obviously, Cashback just had the double Foch B, but those had, as you said, the second wind, the Turbo Sponge. And that one actually came into effect because, like, the CS and the double 50B, they were shooting back on that on that one too, don't get me wrong. But, healing on that Foch B is very, very strong. It's in a good spot right now, and Piotr, obviously, the first one to pay the ultimate price there on that lower side. Now, however, sides are going to be switched. We have round number 2 on our hands, almost at least. And let's see if Hit and Run are able to equalize it on their map pick, or if Cashback starts running away. And once again, triple bat. And the king is indeed back, hopefully. As Liberty picks up Forge B, we have double 277, kind of an interesting choice in my opinion, together with Coyote in that single BZ.
Yeah, 277 is not really something that we see every day in Onslaught. There seems to be a difference of philosophy here. Hit and run going with the Polish medium tank, the CH-63, going for the speed to try and get up into positions early on, but the Batchat has proved to be quite good at countering those CSs, right? You just do your first clip, pop your ability, you run away for a bit, and then you come back and then you delete him.
Although I do think that the Batchat in like random queue Onslaught is quite a bit stronger if played by someone that actually has hands. Let's see now. Hit and run coming into that 1-2 line with double 50B, double CS. They don't end up taking any damage whatsoever, and this might be problematic for Cashback because they are now in that middle and they're kind of squished in between, you know, the tanks that Hit and Run have in the middle, the tanks that Hit and Run have at the donut. Now, however, Batchat and Forge B starting to come in. Mental's the first focus. His HP down to the grave. He goes, gets completely focused out. Little falling on the other side as well. Barbarian probably next focus down towards the 2-shot, but no one there to pick him up as it stands. Barbarian, does he make it behind the corner? He does. And all of a sudden, both of those teams in that engagement somehow get a kill. Rexar doesn't make it out, it seems. Dire moments.
Yeah, Monster driving through the open there, just about manages to get back around the corner into safety. Coyote is going to go down, and the HP is so much in favor of the side of Hit and Run. Cashback just bled so much early on there. Liberty trying to push back across to re-establish some kind of map control, but T is just completely caught in a crossfire, and his teammates cannot support him. He will fall shortly, and just like we saw in the first game, it's swung the other direction, and this time it's Hit and Run with a dominant round on Cliff.
Indeed, hit and round here, hammer and anvil, the donut and the middle of the map to just completely squash the team of Cashback. Yes, those had two autoloaders coming in for the backstab, but all that they realistically got was a singular 50B that was already very deep into his clip if he hadn't already spent it. And now Twilight getting ramped down towards one shot by Piotr, who ends up picking it up. And Pan's Fury killing Squeezy are going to secure the equalizer. It's going to be 1-1. Mov, we have a match on our hands.
Yes, that's right. 1-1, but Cashback just bleeding so much HP early on there. It was a nice idea to put the pincer on, but the Foshby and the Batchat, even if they came into the fight pretty much immediately, but even then it's probably arguably too late, and they just bled so much HP. It was a good move from Hit and Run as well to just drive forwards away from those Clippers. They just run back into middle, so no one from the side of Cashback can punish them, really.
I think you said it correctly. It was like the pincer approach by Cashback, but it was the hammer and anvil approach for Hit and Run. And as we all know, hammer and anvil probably crush a pincer. As, the triple Batchat for the nth time in the OLS ends up not working out. As beautiful and as heartwarming as it was in game number 1, once again, we see triple Batchat getting absolutely omega wrecked.
Yeah, Little just getting deleted. He only did one shot, and that was picking up a kill. So far from the ideal Batchat clip there. I mean, we always used to joke that the old Batchat clips, you would, miss one, bounce one, derp it into the ground and such, but he didn't even get to do a clip. He just fired one shot, and he had 100% hit rate, so kudos for that.
Not sure you're going to lift his mood with that anyway. But yeah, this is map 1 getting split here in between Hit and Run and Cashback, and at least Hit and Run avoided the fate of the two teams last round, which is losing their own map pick 2-0, which for some reason is a very prevalent thing, not only in the OLS, but also like in other formats. Now it's going to be a different story. Muravanka. And this recent addition to the pool, it does play very differently to a lot of other maps in the sense that it's pretty open. However, Cap is very approachable, but those camo plays in the forest, those can be the deciding factor.
Yeah, Muravanka is obviously a new addition, only just released this season, so everyone's still trying to kind of figure out how they want to play the map. Like I said earlier, most of the time the teams are either committing straight into the cap, or they're trying to play for this offside control. So you're always trying to find this balance between not committing too many tanks towards the cap to make sure that you can get resets while still trying to take control of the rest of the map, right?
And this balance is, I think, a very sharp edge to balance upon. As soon as you get it even slightly wrong, the opponent, and in this case that might be either hit and run or cashback, they are immediately going to capitalize, because both of those teams, I think, are characterized by a playstyle of, lightning fast. As soon as they see anything and the call is made, they will not second guess themselves. Big question for me is, are we going to see once again an M48 pattern on Moravanka? We saw that on day 1, I believe. Seems to not be the case. However, there's still a tank that we haven't really seen a whole lot. The 430U, those, X marks the spot. Funny button tanks, never mind. I was about to hype it up. All right, there we go. But the funny button tanks not really being picked in this meta currently. We do have Foch, RHM, Batchat, Centurion, Action X, ISM, and 60TP for cashback.
Yeah, I think the funny button tanks E50M really lends itself more to random onslaught, especially because you can sort of YOLO torpedo and ram people quite a lot, especially Batchats, and especially with the new controlled impact skill, right? Because if the enemy Batchat doesn't have controlled impact train, I have rammed plenty of Batchats this season for well over 1k damage in my E50M.
Nom. First of all, EBR being picked by Mentos, though, that's going to net them a nice first spot on towards Little. And he does spot out Squeezy, even now needs to be a little bit careful, as he does see the ISM as well. Coyote in that 60TP is lit while he's getting the information tower. Does he get reset? No. So now full-on information available for either team, because the V4 by Hit and Run was getting the info tower as well.
Yeah, so both teams with the information. How do they react to this now, though? Little is kind of caught in a bad spot here. That's not really where you want to be in the Foch B. Ketsai poking up, spots out all 3 of them as well. And those guys are kind of locked there now. They can't really go anywhere. So Cashback, they're bringing over the reinforcements. They know that they need to commit to this sort of forest ball. And everyone's coming over now as well. The Sente X on the other side of the map for the side of Hit and Run, that's Monster, is also coming over. So
this is
anyone's guess.
This is the strangest Moravanka game I've seen in a while, because no one seems to care about the cap or the western point of information. No, everyone is just here in that forest. The magic forest of Moravanka is what it comes down to here in the first Muro game in between Cashback and Hit and Run. And I think Cashback are the ones that initially are starting to aggress. Ketsai does make it behind the first ridge here, and now they will just have to receive, and receive well. Piotr still waiting here for the opposing tanks to drive in. He does start to open up. Who is going to get the first kills to remove the effective DPM from the enemy team, as Piotr is even going to be the first focus here, down towards 200. Down he goes, not even sure if he was able to do his entire clip off.
Yeah, he managed to get off 4 shots before he went down there. Pan's Fury pushing back in, trying to delete Twilight, who's in that crossfire position in the Sente X, but it's just a chaotic brawl here. Little just caught on reload in no man's land. In his Foch B, he gets picked up. Twilight will fall shortly in the Sente X, so no Inspire left available for the side of Cashback. The Mentos now coming in his EBR, just trying to provide any kind of interference and distraction that he can to take the focus off of his main combat tanks. Now pressuring on towards Squeezy, who's down to a 1 shot, and this is going in the direction of Hit and Run.
Indeed, Hit and Run now have the HP and the gun advantage. Liberty and Barbarian, the only 2 ones left, and Liberty is going to get chased down by that EBR, leaving only Barik in that lonely IS-7, who now is getting triple teamed here, able to remove one of the enemy tanks, but now he is left standing alone against 4, ends up falling against monsters. So the team captain of Hit and Run himself secures the last kill, and Hit and Run, after going down 1-0 in this match, all of a sudden find themselves in a commanding match point position.
Yeah, that was a great round from Hit and Run. They just soaked up all the pressure that came from Cashback. They let the Foch B push into them. Piotr, he did go down, but he basically did a full clip before he got deleted, which is pretty much what's expected of him, right? Like, he's not he's not expecting to survive in that situation, and Hit and Run were just able to set up well for the push and shut it down.
Yeah, and to be honest, even kudos to Piotr. He only got 4 shots out, but all of those 4 penned, and he didn't even make the mistake that a lot of tanks would do in this situation, which would be, you know, turning the gun around and focusing the fire on the Centurion Action X that was actually chasing after him. No, he was staying focused on the target that was at hand for his entire team. He was staying focused on ISED, who did even less than him. So Piotr here coming in with a good performance, even though he's the bottom on damage, and this is only where it starts for Hit and Run. The rest of the team obviously able to bring it home as well, and Mentos there with the clutch plays in that EBR, just picking up those important kills that maybe, you know, the V4 didn't want to waste the alpha damage on.
Yeah, and the EBR doesn't have as much like damage output potential as the RHM, of course, but the EBR is obviously more difficult to focus out just because he's zooming around the map everywhere and he can bail out whenever he needs to, right? But he went so aggressive in the beginning. Like, he was on the opposite side of the ridge line, just driving in the open. It didn't really matter that he did that in the end because they got the information tower anyway, but it's interesting to see teams moving away a little bit from RHM and prioritizing EBR. Normally we see them like in tandem together. We've seen it being picked on Ghost Town, right? Where you send the EBR into the bushes, but actually picking the EBR instead of the RHM is interesting.
Yeah, it ends up really working out for Hit and Run in this round number 1, and once again the trend of teams not winning on their own map pick does continue here. It is the weirdest of trends, and this is why I don't get tired of mentioning it. And this was just the weirdest of rounds, because what we usually see on Muravanka is 2 teams that send quite a lot of forces towards the cap. We ended up not seeing this at all. This was a full-on brawl with 14 tanks in the forest. So maybe the 2 teams trained against each other, not entirely sure how deep the mind games run. But that was such a weird interaction.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes this just happens, right? You just have these crazy offside brawls. It happens a lot on Glacier now in random onslaught. Most of the teams just go towards the north, even though the cap isn't there. Neither of the strikes are there, and none of the information tower either. So it's just about trying to, like, the reason they're there is just to try and get control of the offside of the map so they can sort of put the stranglehold on their opponent.
All right, match point for Hit and Run, and they are trying to convert with an Udes already, together with 1 bad chat, triple Bliska, 1v4, and Mentos once again in that EBR.
Yeah, the Udes strongly suggest that they're going to be playing towards the 1-2 line on this occasion. Otherwise, you'd probably just want to bring the Sente X again. But double IS-7 being brought by Cashback, it looks like they both want to. I mean, Hit and Run's triple Bliskovica strongly suggests they're going to push into the cap, right?
I mean, that is something we saw yesterday from them, where they basically ended up getting the cap victory with triple Bliska in the cap, but let's see if they are going to pull the same move. So the initial scout here by Liberty ending up not really with a lot of information. I think they saw 1 Bliska plus the V4. That is all the information that Cashback get from this initial thing here. As Hit and Run now do take 2 information towers simultaneously, which one do they end up popping? I think it was the one that the it was actually the one that the V4 got, as Hit and Run immediately start to overpush on that 1-2 line. Liberty and Little, together with Twilight, better start getting out of there.
Yeah, Little and Liberty both falling back already, but they are going to get caught in the open just a little bit. How much damage do they take on the fallback, though, is the question. Little in a Fosh B, that's not really the sort of position you want to find yourself in, but hopefully for his sake, he's going to be able to cut a clip off before he goes down. We've got Piotr in the bat chat and Monster and Udes. They're not going to be able to cross. Wait, they're not. They are actually just going to cross. Ketsai and Pansfury do not care about this crossfire one bit, and Ketsai is permatracked in the open because he popped his ability, so his track health is null and void.
Indeed, Quetzal here paying a huge price, but the price by little is even bigger. The Foch B just completely blown out of water. Now Coyote here looking for the overpeak and does get it against Quetzal, so the kills are starting to equalize. But Liberty, he's such a good light tank player, but even he cannot withstand the pressure of just getting caught out in the open. It's going to be Piotr to shut him down. Now triple tank for Cashback fighting against Bliskovica. That is Rexar here, who's probably going to go down in turn, and good shot by Squeezy to shut down T-Sec. Kills pouring in left, right, and center.
Yeah, Rexar gets picked up by Coyote. Panfury crossing in the open. Mentos again trying to do what he can by just causing a bit of chaos, driving in behind the guns from Cashback, but he doesn't really have the DPM to be super effective here. Panfury trading it out with Coyote. Doesn't take that much damage because he's got his ability pop, which means 30% reduction here, but the HP very much in favor of Cashback.
Indeed, Cashback has a lot of HP, but Hit and Run still has 4 guns to work with. That is about to get reduced. However, as Monster gets found by Squeezy in that bad chat, and he does shut him down. So 4 versus 3 situation, and that tank by Squeezy, that bad chat is just so powerful in this situation. It is probably not even gonna be needed here, as only Piotr and Mentos survive here, and Piotr will end up getting shut down by Iset. Barbarian from the backlines is gonna kill steal that one. But yeah, Mentos remaining here, and for game or match number 3 of the day, once again, we are headed towards a tiebreaker.
Yeah, Mentos just going to run down the clock a bit to try and ensure that he doesn't allow Cashback to get the fastest win rate. And he is an EBR, so he can waste quite a bit of time here. The hit squad from Cashback are trying to go for him. Coyote thinking maybe he's like trying to bait and turn around in towards A7, but he is well out of there, running down the 0 line. They're going to start heading towards the cap circle now. Barbarian still just clearing A0, just in case Mentos wants to get tricky with it and hide in a bush there. Information tower being taken, so they will know where he is. But I'd say he's already done his job here, wasting sufficient time.
Yeah, that is realistically what he's trying to do at this point in time. There is no realistic chance of that EBR winning anymore, and Mentos knows it, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. So Cashback are now going to start up the cap, which is, I think, the most viable thing to do in this situation here. Squeezy does get spotted out in the open, so he knows that the EBR must be somewhere close by, and yeah, I mean, he's even gonna hide in the bush. He is demonstrating good light tank gameplay. The problem for him is it's not gonna change anything.
Yeah, just running down the clock. It's like a mini game of hide and seek at the end of the battle. Can Cashback find Mentos sitting in one tiny bush? It's even harder now because of the Onslaught modifiers. With only 25 meters of proxy range, you can basically drive right next to him and you will never know that he's there.
Yeah, I mean, Cap now down towards 10 seconds. He hopes to get maybe another HE reset from the church. Will he able to get it? Doubtful. 3 seconds, and he doesn't even see the enemy tanks. Kind of confused. Oh, he does see the enemy tanks last seconds, but yeah, his shot ends up not decapping. So Cashback are locking in round number 4 in this matchup here, and this means that once again the score is tied.
Yeah, we're going to tiebreaker again, and that's going to be Westfield. Just looking at it. Not sure what to expect from that, but good round from Cashback again. They neutralized the 1-2 push, hit and run. Their play was kind of telegraphed from the beginning, right? You know what's going to come from the fact that they have so many tank destroyers in the game, and we saw the sort of duality of the tank destroyer's ability, the Juggernaut ability, where you get 30% damage reduction, but with your track going down to like just one shot.
Literally 1 HP, by the way.
Yeah. Ketsai just getting caught in the open there and doing 0 damage, and that really was the difference maker, right? Because they traded it off by killing little, but they just bled so much HP for that kill. Even they picked up Liberty as well, which was a great find, but it's just not enough.
I mean, it looked pretty good for hit and run at some point when they were finding the Foch without taking too much damage for it, right? 1600 damage is like 4 shots from their force. That's not too terrible. And together with Liberty, who is a crucial tank as well in that RHM, that was looking good. But Hit and Run ended up sacrificing so much that wasn't worth it after all. Now, going in towards Westfield, I do tend to agree with you. I'm not entirely sure what to expect there. If it was still pre 1.26, I would have said lots of BZs. But now, I mean, Badger, Mushroom, and maybe a few Bliskas.
I think the balance is somewhere in between, right? Still bringing maybe a couple of BZs and maybe 2 or 3 of these Juggernaut tank destroyers with the damage reduction, but we saw what it was like from Storm's POV when they committed to taking 5 of them, and they were just unable to make that work. But yeah, should be some interesting tank picks.
Now the pick for the side was up to Hit and Run, so indeed there was a purpose behind Mentos running away throughout the last game, and they do pick left or south on Westfield, so the western part of Westfield, which is or used to be maybe a little bit the favored side, so I guess no big surprise there. That being said, I think both sides, like, it's more about the calls and openings than about the side of the map once again.
Personally, I prefer to play east, just because when you have the east spawn, you can go into the hole down in the very north of the map, and if you can lock that down or trade well for them YOLOing into you, then you pretty much shut down any kind of aggro play on that side of the map. So, but that's just one position, and there's many different ways to play the map.
Yeah, and we did indeed in that Storm match where they ended up losing 0-2 on Westfield, we did see quite different ways of playing it. Like, one of them was Brawl, and one of them was, tanks trying to take outside. So there are numerous possibilities, and I think Westfield is also one of those maps where it hasn't really been, like, completely explored yet, because the fact that we see teams taking and picking a lot of different tanks and taking and picking a lot of different tactics sort of shows that either, the proper meta hasn't settled, or that there is some kind of rock, paper, scissors principle going on in between those tactics that kind of, doesn't let just one approach win all the time.
Well, you have 2 options, right? You either play for topside or you play for self-control. And playing for self-control can be just a little bit more tricky, and that's an interesting pick.
But yeah, us making those strange sounds should be signaling to all of you viewers that
denied again, dude.
Something is afoul in the state of Denmark. And yes, while the Hori does still get switched away, I'm actually hating myself a little bit right now, because while we were talking, while the teams were picking, I was like, maybe an STRV could be cool on Westfield. I was thinking it to myself, but I thought it would be too far out there. And now Monster ends up picking one. Oh, man. All right, together with an EBR, double Bliska, double Badger, and the CS63.
Yeah, Monster does pick the STRV, but that is a very tricky tank to play, especially when you've got the RHM of Liberty. If once he gets a sniff and he knows, he has a sense that there's an STRV in play, he will plane the hell out of him. Mentos, though, going for the early aggression on towards Liberty, going for the 1v1, puts in a good shot into the RHM. Cashback now playing for the top side of the map, but that's just kind of what Hit and Run want to happen. They want them to play into the STRV, and Mentos is still pushing in towards Liberty here. Liberty in trouble early on in the 1v1 situation. He does have strong HE shells, but the EBR is also going to have some pretty good HE against the RHM, which is total paper as well. The push is coming in, though, from Cashback. They're pushing into the open in front of the SDRV, who is now revealed. The trap is sprung.
Indeed, the trap has been sprung, and that STRV is going to have a field day. Meanwhile, though, the rest of the hit and run team are getting pushed, but I think Cashback are realizing that they have bitten off more than they can chew. And now Coyote and Liberty simultaneously going down. Monster from the backline still raining down hell, laying down the law. And a quick triple kill, quadruple kill even, coming through for hit and run, are going to possibly secure them a round number 3 in this match here. Cashback still trying to hold on, still trying to find back, but I said in that Udes down towards a 2-shot. Same can be said for Little and Cashback. It's going from bad to worse here on Westfield for them. The light tank on the offside getting completely outplayed. This is something that I've never seen from Liberty. He just got completely crapped upon, if you excuse my wording, and hit and run 7-0 clean sweep.
Yeah, they take it in tiebreaker 3-2. They put 3 points on the board in the overall standings, and this just goes to show some of the ability changes to the light tank, for example, having it slightly delayed at the start. They're not able to plane that STRV straight from the beginning, so they don't know that it's there. I'm not sure if he even had that much impact in the round. He maybe only did like 2k damage because he was spotted, and once you're spotted in the STRV, you don't get the alpha boost from your ability, but they just played right into their hands because they lacked the crucial information.
They were indeed lacking information. You could even say El No Sabe here. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the damage numbers after the game. And turns out the STRV, even if the damage, if the alpha isn't boosted, then it still has quite a lot of DPM. Monster here with an absolutely picture-perfect performance, 10 out of 10. He is going to net himself top damage, only 4 HP of damage off of doing exactly his alpha, but he has a kill to his name. And yeah, 7-0, all tanks in the fight. Mentos completely taking advantage of Liberty here. On the offside, 2 tanks without damage even. This round was a disaster for Cashback, and it's going to hurt them even more, considering the fact that Hit and Run will take all 3 points from this game, put it onto the leaderboard, and gonna say thank you very much, Cashback.
Yeah, Cashback, they get nada from that game. No points, absolutely nothing, which is pretty tragic, to be honest. Still got one more game to go, though. That's going to be W against Conquest coming up.
Indeed, W against Conquest. Hopefully this one will be a close one as well. There is a clear favorite, of course, in between both of those. We'll shed more light on it, however, when we're back after the replays.
What? What's happened? You.
Let's move out.
Ready to fire.
Kaboom! Let's destroy this lunatic.
He's back.
Well, hello there, and welcome back for the final match of the day. It's going to be a W against a Conquest. First of all, I think that trailer for the Waffenträger mode is really sick. Now, however, Moff, there's a clear favorite and there's a clear underdog here, don't you think?
Yes, I would agree with that. We've got W versus Conquest. Conquest have been rather harshly voted by the community. They had like 2% chance to win against their opponent last week, which it escapes my memory who that was. I believe it was Storm. They had 2% chance to win, so let's see what the community predictions are. First, we're going to look at the team lineups. So W, the international roster, one of is it three international rosters, of course, because Conquest is like Hungarian core but still international as well. W, one of the teams coming into the OLS, obviously not going to China, so this is really like the main focus, as well as Conquest. The other team, along with Clueless, who we sort of rated as one of the worst in the league, they're currently at an 0-2 in the first 2 weekends. So if they can avoid defeat here, then they will not suffer the same fate as Clueless and be joint at the bottom of the leaderboard.
That being said, they're 0-2 right now, but if I could pick anyone from all the players to stand beside me and back me up in a brawl, it'd definitely be Radim. Now, W versus Conquest, 90% for W, 10% for Conquest here, and yeah, W... International lineup against international lineup, arguably W a little bit more international, but then again, it is a battle of a vast favorite, W against Conquest, who really have to still show us that they're here to stay and last in towards that second stage of the OLS. Obviously, after stage number 1, now we have 8 teams. The 2 lowest teams after this round robin here, where everyone plays against everyone, the 2 worst teams by points will be taken out, and I think that should be the biggest focus for Conquest right now, is to try to not be one of those 2 teams. Now, for W, so far, the highlight and star player, I think, has to be Gotcha Baby, because of that DPG and also because of those tanks that he plays. Centurion AX, 430U, Batchat 25T, those are tanks with which you can make high impact gameplay, just like one of the commanders from the Waffenträger event would say, Quickie Baby.
Yeah, just like Katsai from Hit and Run, Gotcha Baby is placed with the major importance of those high impact tanks, the DPM tanks, the Cent AX with the Inspire. He's all about being on the cleanup crew and just farming while the rest of the team takes all the shots for him. But the map picks are coming in now, and it's going to be Studzianki picked first by W, then Conquest picking El Haluf, which is sort of, we would consider that maybe more of a 1-1 map, but I don't know why I'm even mentioning that because of the nature of this tournament so far.
Yeah, and tiebreaker would once again be Moravanka. So this newest addition to the map pool, really the teams end up liking it a lot, which is nice to see, I think. First of all, though, Studzianki, we saw it once already today, and yeah, it ended up kind of being a clash of styles. It was very TD heavy against tanks trying to play around those 2Ds, and spoiler for those who didn't see the previous matches, well, it ended up not going the way of the tanks that were not the TDs. El Haluf I think every single one of those players saw yesterday the match between Mafia and Hit and Run, where Hit and Run came out with an incredible and an unexpected strategy, and I have to commend them. The balls on those guys to play offside in such an important match, not go to the brawl, but instead 13-105, pick up one of the tanks on the cross immediately, and then end up playing from there and winning. That was crazy. Both of those teams will have seen that, but as it is so fresh in anyone's minds, I don't expect we're going to see it again soon.
Yeah, you got to be like really confident in what your idea is if you want to play the offside, just because the two strikes, which are very important, of course, are in the north of the map. And obviously, as you mentioned, that hit and run strategy we saw yesterday, it's a pocket pick, right? It's only supposed to be used once and then never really again. Predictions coming in, though, all three of us going in favor of W. That's not really a surprise. However, Daki having a bit of faith in Conquest, which I'm not really sure where that comes from, because they had some pretty bad performances in the first two match days.
I mean, maybe he saw an upwards trend. That might be a possibility. Or maybe he saw a downwards trend for the team of W. Because realistically, W hasn't been performing that crazy good. I think so far they have one win under the belt, which is one more than Conquest, obviously. But W is really a team that has been hit or miss, not since OLS started, but since long before that. And once again, today is the question, are they going to be able to deliver upon the promise that they certainly have in their lineup, or are they once again going to fall short of expectations? Another big question for them, are they finally going to reveal their secret weapon? And indeed they do. The Copium Lord himself, Jakifa, has entered the field. W coming into this one with a double 60 TP, one batch at double V4, the E3, and the Rheinmetall.
Meanwhile, Conquest are bringing a 277, a T57, a CS63, Sentai X, Bliskavitza, and double 268 V4. T57 hasn't been picked on that many occasions. 277 also not the most popular tank pick, but Jakifa, perhaps he's going to throw some, dish out some copium spells, just like make Conquest start molding.
The first spell has already been cast, and that is going to be the extremely effective spell of Restart. So, yeah, one of the or more of the players having apparently technical issues. That does tend to happen from time to time. And now for Onslaught, compared to like other competitive streamed events, the rules differ a little bit. You can only call for the restart during the countdown because obviously, you can plane after the countdown ends, and this means that you would get more information than the opposing teams. However, the restart this time was called in time, and here the rules once again differ. You can actually have different lineups. So just because someone had at the end of the countdown one kind of a tank, that doesn't mean that necessarily next round they will have the same one. But I think the technical issues should be resolved rather soonish, and then the match should be on the way. And yeah, Studzianki, we saw it once today already. It was the TDs prevailing there. Those E3s and those V4s in the hold down positions, they can be extremely effective. And I think the Juggernaut ability, we keep talking about it. And one of the most underrated things of the Juggernaut ability is actually the mobility increase that you get, because it allows you to make those unexpected moves that can just completely end up catching the opponent by surprise.
Yeah, that's true. But then you immediately get permatracked, and then you get caught in the open and look like a muffet. Well, the other thing with the restart is, imagine if you have a player that has a super slow PC. I've had it before in Clan Wars where there's people that would only load into the game with like 1 or 2 seconds left on the countdown. So they wouldn't know if they had a PC crash or a game crash until they'd loaded in and the countdown would be over. So that's potentially a problem that someone might have in the future.
Well, any team that makes it into the top 4 should have enough money earned for themselves to buy a new PC and get that valuable hardware for themselves for the OLS Season 2, which, by the way, I can spoiler is going to happen. But yeah, W going into this one, kicking off match number 4, and they do have the RHM, unlike Conquest, to skip that light tank, so a bit of firepower advantage in basically being traded off for informational advantage. Now, Lali and Flawless driving towards the middle, and Lali immediately getting pushed in towards the hole, and the shot by Toxic connects, but with the ground.
Yeah, that's pretty good from Lali, getting into the hole for free, and starts taking the strike for free. I'm not sure if it looks like W with the double 60 TP, it looked like they might have been trying to line up a shot to just put in a round into him, but that ends up not happening. And double 60 TP committing towards the south here is like, that's a pretty heavy commitment, and that's the way they're going at the moment. But Conquest with the aggression, they're going straight into the cap, and W is going to be under pressure here because they don't have a strike available, nor do they have a CS63 for a mini strike.
Indeed, W under time pressure here. Cluff is going to push that 60 TP before he says, screw it, I'm just going to do this on my own. He is going to start driving around. He's going to go towards the south to open up new angles on towards that cap. But that cap morph, 8 seconds remaining. Toxic, I think, is the one going in right now to try and defend it, activating the Juggernaut. This means he might get tracked. But yeah, cap does get reset up towards 20 seconds. 3 tanks, however, there now. Jackafor taking a beat down towards 1100. Needs to be careful. Takes another one. The Juggernaut ability for him has run out, meaning he takes the full alpha of the enemy tank, and he ends up going down. He comes from the bench and gets sent to the grave.
Yeah, this is exactly what Conquest wanted. They baited the few tanks that W had in the north of the map. They baited them to come close because they had to reset, and now the T57 of YOLO is going to be able to clip out on towards Frugo. They're down in HP though, Conquest. They do have to be careful not to overextend.
I mean, the T57 of YOLO now has spent the entirety of his clip, but that just means he's going to quickly reload, and then he's going to be ready to go again. Frugo now getting pushed upon the gentleman himself. He's being covered by Toxic, who is on one shot. Good shot, though, coming out from the V4 as Miko gets pushed, and once again, the Juggernaut ability coming to hurt him here as Danachka frontally is going to ram him, but a clutch shot is going to pick up the CS, and now those HP are really coming to hurt Conquest here. YOLO still 2 shots available, but Donnie from the backside is going to come in. Big stunner into the back of Frugo as Miko falls. Conquest, they're trying to make this close.
Yeah, but it's already taken so long to kill Frugo. Even if he went down at this point, they've bled so much HP for it. They do manage to pick up the kill on Tarks, though. That's an overextension by him. Clerv picks up the kill on Donashka, though, so that the north control is going to be in their favor. He's going to be able to provide crossfire. And Frugo is still alive, despite getting overpeaked at least 3 or 4 times here. The HP is now in favor of the side of W, and they have the light tank alive, which means they're going to be stronger in the late game.
Indeed, now Lali takes aim and takes Frugo out of this game as Conquest are down towards 5k HP. That is, YOLO still 2 more shots remaining in his clip, barely hanging on to dear life as Solo takes one from the sidelines. Dani taking up the 1v1, but any kind of trade that the teams right now takes the HP, they just favor W. It is the gun advantage that needs to carry Conquest over the finish line as Solo gets focused out here. The strike ends up taking YOLO's life, and Lali, quick double kill coming out. Dani, he wants to get the pickup on towards Solo, but Flawless picks it up all of a sudden. 2 versus 2, and it is actually a Batchat and a Rheinmetall. No better tanks for this on the team of W right now. Clerv and Baby, they're going to team up and double team on towards Conquest here. Flawless chasing, but Clerv, snap, kill, Flawless.
Yeah, as soon as we got into that late game, this was only going to go in one direction. Baby and Clerv, the cleanup crew, they pick up the win here for the side of W, and Conquest they really were messy with how they managed to try and go and pick up those kills there. It took them so long to take down Frugo.
We need to check how much bounce damage Frugo actually has, because at one point there was the T57 that was overpeaking in towards the Batchat, so he was continuously receiving damage. Like, Baby was farming the T57, and then Frugo and I believe Tarxic as well. Those were 2 one-shots, so those might have been crucial shots by YOLO in that T57 that didn't connect. We'll have to wait and see. And then on the other hand, I mean, W, they were playing with fire here. They were playing a super dangerous game. They had to sacrifice a tank that was the E3 that was going close towards the cap, but they had to somehow get those resets. And it was on a knife's edge, but with the better end for W. And wow, once again, got you, baby.
Or another 7k game for Gotcha Baby. The DPG just keeps on rising. At this rate, he's going to end up with 5k average in Onslaught. Jackifer falling on his sword, doing a high impact play for the team there. 0 damage, but he did get... Did he actually get a reset? I'm not even sure he did.
So I see 0
No, he didn't even
points.
get a reset. So he sacrificed his life and he didn't actually get the reset.
I mean, he's a team player, all right? He's a team player. And he was like Bruno Mars, you know, I'll catch a grenade for you. And that is exactly what he did. But yeah, on the other side of the board here, not as much success on that Conquest team. And as I say that, yeah, so 10-9-6, not the best of results for YOLO in that T57. And he had essentially the engagements that he wanted, right? Because it was super close range. And let's check Frugo. Bounced, yeah, damage blocked by armor, almost 1500. 3 of those were non-pens. And I mean, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would put a lot of money on the fact that the T57 of YOLO there had one, like at least one shot that didn't end up picking up that 60 TP, and that would have been so clutch.
Danny also peeked behind, and he bounced on the 60 TP's rear as well, and in the end, that game doesn't look close, right? Because Baby and Clove, just with the HP and the fact that there's an RHM in late game. But if Conquest just pick up those kills like 1 minute sooner, 30 seconds sooner, they're able to just push on towards Baby, for example. Like Baby is allowed more time because of the bounces.
Also, like it or not, but there is currently only a single player in the OLS with 0 DPG. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Imagine he gets benched now and he doesn't play for the rest of the season.
Oh no, that would be cruel, man.
That would be very, very painful.
Please don't do that. And indeed they don't. So W coming in with a 60 TP, a singular batch at 1430U, WV4, 1E3, and the RHM.
Meanwhile, Conquest are bringing again the T57. It's pretty much, I think it is actually an almost identical lineup for the side of Conquest. Double 268v4, Bliskowitz, Sente X, CS63, 277. So similar kind of philosophy being brought out from Conquest. W have moved away from the double 60 DP they had in the previous round. They're bringing the 430U, so we're finally seeing a bit of the funny button tank, and he's not switching right at the end.
No, he's not switching away, and to be honest, I like the 430U against the lineup that Conquest is bringing. Good spot coming out from Clerf, by the way. Full information, 7 tanks available. He ends up immediately going towards the information tower as well. I don't think anyone is trying to reset. Nope. So once again, respot coming out. And W now, it's about how they use this information. Big roll coming out from Toxic, 773. Or was there someone else shooting? Might have been the bad shot. Anyway, Lolly takes 1 or 2, but definitely a big hit in the HP department for taking the strike.
You're all right there, Key. Batchat going towards the south for the side of W, and they have all of the information available. Conquest again going for the caps strat, but the Batchat going all the way to the south should be able to get resets. So, but Conquest with the similar idea here, they want to bait W in close and then be able to push off. We've got this time though, Solo going solo actually in A6 by himself. There's even a 268v4 covering him, so which should help him out. But Frugo getting crossfired here, getting caught out as he tries to move up.
Yeah, indeed. The 60 TP is a great tank, especially hold down. Not so great when you're side scraping, and Frugo just finds that out. Now, once again, Conquest in the cap here, 20 seconds remaining, and once again, no strike available for the team of W to be able to reset. So they need to make it happen somehow else. But Conquest actually beats them to that reaction as their tanks start streaming through the cap, and I think that is actually a really good call because they're going to have an absolute absolute overmatch in guns, in HP. And now YOLO is here with that T-57. Toxic just melting like ice in the sunshine.
It is an exact mirror matchup from the last game. We've got a TD that falls early for the side of W, but Conquest, can they make it work this time? They've got to overpush, and this time they are fully committing into that fight, but they're taking so much damage for this. But the HP is not too bad for them at the moment. Jakiva is the next target they're going to pick up, but Jakiva does pick up a kill. He's now going to try and back up over the ridgeline into safety. No, he's actually just going to sit there and try and prevent Radim from driving up towards him. Solo is now getting pushed on towards by Lemmy Sandras in the Sentai X. Miku has a decision to make about who he wants to support here.
Indeed, and he chooses to support Lemmy against Solo, who does drop down towards one shot. Lemmy, the one to pick it up, does take a shot in return here, though. Miku, it is just a free-for-all at this point in time, but I think Wolf, that Conquest did find a very good engagement here, and the problem for W is, once again, Gotcha Baby and Clurf are still alive, but they're kind of out of the game, and they're not able to contribute here right now. Jakiva still the last tank remaining in the brawl. Danachka turning around, doesn't catch that E3 currently that has the Juggernaut active, and Jakiva, he's looking for that pickup. He does get it, and the HE by Danachka ends up not penetrating the E3 in the back. Possibly a crucial missed shot, as Jakiva now is not going to reload because Lemisandros from the sidelines is able to sidestep the E3.
Well, it's a 3v2 for Conquest, but look at the HP. They're so low. Danny's a one-shot for strike. Lemmy is only on 600, just all below 600 HP, which is not great either. None of them have enough health to challenge anything. Baby's going to be able to take the strike for free, and you have to favor them. Once again, the RHM and Batchat combo in the late game situation is just so much better, especially on such an open map with all these different angles. The only thing that Conquest can really do here is try to play for the cap. Danashka is going to try and push forwards and catch Baby, but he's already gone. He's hightailed it out of there. He has no idea where he is. Baby just playing some very sneaky games here. Now peeking into the side of Danashka, puts a shot in, makes him a one-shot for strike, and should just place that right on top of his head, and he does. The kill gets picked up now into the 2v2, and Lemmy and Danny will be quaking in their boots.
Yeah, indeed. And now Clurf does find Lemisandros, and he doesn't miss those any day of the week. Yes, the RHM does fight back and shows its teeth with that hash round that the Centurion Action X gets, but now it is a one-shot Bliskovica against a very, very loaded Gotcha Baby. And he does pick up the Bliskovica, and once again, it is the dynamic duo of Gotcha Baby and Clurf that bring it over the finish line and make it 2-0 for W.
Yeah, it was pretty much the exact same game as we saw from the opposite direction, except this time it was closer because Conquest actually committed into the fight and made their shots count, and they got the overpush. They picked up Tarks early, and then they just kept trying to steamroll it, but eventually they run out of health to just keep it going, right? And as long as for the side of W, they can keep the HP reasonably close, they're always going to be favored in the end game.
Yeah, simply because the RHM and the Batchat in the end game on a big map like Studzianki just reign supreme. And I mean, Gotcha Baby once again top on damage. You just put him into those damage dealer tanks and he delivers. I mean, not entirely flawless shooting, but then again, it is, even after the buffs, still a Batchat, and a lot of his engagements probably took place over quite the distance. And yeah, not sure if he's going to be entirely happy, because maybe his DPG is now going down, but in the end it doesn't matter because his team still won the round. And once again, Conquest not able to completely bring that T-57 heavy into the game. They just don't find the spot, they just don't find the engagement, even though in theory, once again, he was in the perfect location in a super close range brawl.
Yeah, W focused out the correct tanks, you can see that, because the CS and the T-57 are both at the bottom of the leaderboard. The T-57 didn't even get to do a full clip, right? The fact that the 268v4s from the side of Conquest are like near the top of the leaderboard, you don't care about that, you know? They don't have the DPM to like come up clutch for their team, right? So you focus out the tanks which you can kill faster and have more DPM anyway.
And now, after W's pick, mind you, of Studzianki, we are now going to see what Conquest will be able to do on El Haluf. Because for them now, they need to throw everything at W, including the kitchen sink, because one more lost round would mean once again a defeat for this team with an admittedly pretty cool logo, but so far nothing to show for it. 0 points on the leaderboard, and they need to, and they sure as hell want to change that at some point in time. Just the lingering questions right now if W will be the team that lets them do it, and so far it seems like no.
Well, El Haluf is a very quick map, right? So they can quite, in about 5 minutes time, they could have turned it around. It could be 2-2 and going to tiebreaker. It doesn't look to be that way. It looks like W just have the edge on them. They just have like a little bit cleaner communication and positioning of tanks, and Conquest at the moment should probably swap team names, to be honest, because their strategy so far has just been mash the W key.
And so far this was not crowned with success. Which for them is quite unfortunate, because they probably came in with a lot of preparation, and yeah, it did translate in towards some round victories against other teams, but the round victories don't give you points. It is match victories that do, as we hop into what might be the final round of the day between W and Conquest, and overall as well. W picking a Rheinmetall once again, quadruple Bliskavitza. Oi, oi, oi. Centurion Action X and BZ75.
Conquest also bringing a BZ, triple Bliskavitza, double CS63, and an IS-7. So, if Conquest won, they can have control of the A1 strike very early on. There's not really anyone from the side of W who's going to be able to contest that, but given their lineups, you don't really think they want to anyway. They're going to go for info in the beginning. Has Klurf used the plane? He has, and he once again spots out all 7. That is tricky to do. Perhaps on a map like El Haluf, it's a bit easier, just because, pretty much everyone's going to go towards the north straight immediately. And Klurf's actually committing to A1 here, so scratch what I said. It looks like W are going to surprise us and go for that A1 fight.
Now, what does Danachka decide to do here? He goes for the peak and only takes the Rheinmetall shot for it. This is such a cheap peak, and this means he's even going to get the small strike, which means that now Conquest do have priority over it. And this now obviously means that W need to go in with those Bliskavitzas, but they did spend their Juggernaut ability on getting here, which means the alpha reduction for the opposing team is not there. Conquest are able to secure the strike, I think, and down it goes. The nuke on 5 tanks, 2k HP in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, that was critical right in the beginning of the game. They needed to delete Danashka, but they were just unable to do so, and now they're in lots of trouble. Lemmy is maybe overcommitting just a little bit here, trying to distract and make the Bliskavitz's turn. The rest of the team now pushing in. The strike gets placed from someone there. I don't know who that was, but Lally just backing up around the corner can do so in his IS-7, just staying alive on 100 HP. The HP is actually in favor of W here, but they have no guns left. Conquest have everyone else left alive. The kills come in now, but it's a little bit too late. Jackifer trying to hang on. Klurf picks up the kill from the flank. They're going to try and play for the late game again. Solo's got to get out of there, but he might get deleted before he can get around the corner.
Yeah, Solo taking another one, make that 2 and 3, and make that down and out as he tries to go behind the corner, and now only Got You Baby remaining. And Conquest managed to, well, I have a hard time saying surprise W, because realistically what came there from Conquest wasn't a surprise. Everything was known for W. And they decided to commit in to that northwestern part of the map regardless. But yeah, all of those non-connections coming out from W on towards that CS63, just sealing the deal here. That crucial restrike from that CS63 onto that Rheinmetall to reset the strike counter and then take it himself, I think was the make or break moment.
Yeah, I mean, W's entire strategy is to delete the CS when he peeks the corner, right? Like that's very clear that that's the intention. And it didn't happen. The only person who connected a shot on him was the RHM, who was at point blank range. And given that their entire strategy rests like on the fact that they can delete that guy, then they would be +1 gun and they would have the strike in their hands. You know, like it's pretty bad that no one is like prepared to connect the shot there.
And this means that probably on every single tank of W, we are going to see a bounced or missed shot, which is just in the end the result of this initial volley on the CS63. And I mean, Danachka, kudos to him. I think it was him wide peeking that, and he even was the one taking the strike after it. And yeah, just crazy game. Obviously, like there's two sides to it. Crazy game for him, and 2K of that I think is immediately down to just being able to place the strike on 5 tanks, but like also the decision to make that peak, to reset the RHM, and also with that shot in towards the RHM to get the small little baby strike for himself, with which he then can reset the RHM. That was absolutely clutch.
It was a very clutch play, but we know that play is forced anyway, because he has to overpeak, because it's so important that you don't let the opponent get that strike, and that was W's entire plan, right? So, you know, he's very, very lucky that he didn't get deleted, and it ends up finishing top of the leaderboard, but it could have gone very much in the other direction.
I mean, how lucky is he really? Or was it maybe the positioning coming out from from W that ended up not working out? Because how likely is it that with the Onslaught modifiers, 6 tanks end up just straight like missing or not connecting or whatever?
Not sure. I mean, they were all there. They all had line of sight. So it's just kind of, they all had bad RNG? I don't know, dude.
6 tanks at once?
Yeah, especially with Onslaught, you know, RNG reduction and like buffs to dispersion values. I'd love to see a replay of like all the different perspectives to see what happened with each player's shot there.
But yeah, RNG giveth and RNG taketh. So you better pray to the god of RNG. Now, the fundamental situation of the match hasn't really changed, right? It is still W on match point, and it is still Conquest needing to win this round. And W will try to do so with quintuple Bliskavitsa. Okay, Bober. And together with a CS63, so 6 Polish tanks plus these Centurion Action X for W.
Meanwhile, Conquest are bringing just 3 Bliskavitsas, just a little bit more tame. Double CS, IS-7, and the BZ-75 as well. So I think that's the same lineup as they had in the previous round. Can't be sure, but again, Conquest have a lineup that's built more for playing towards the corner. Like 5 Bliskavitsas trying to play in A1 is, without turret and the fact that you get like 1 HP of track health when your ability is up, like that's pretty rough. I expect them not to be playing A1 this time, and Miku does tuck into the left, so he's going to go for that C2 strike.
Man, you see how everyone is also not taking the short route, but instead taking the long one, because you might get deleted on the cross if the other team ends up not playing like
it's kind of going to be the default now that you cross through the back, just in case the enemy team does play the pocket strat where they all aim at the start and then delete 1 tank immediately. Strike has been taken from Miku. The other strike has been taken in A1 for the side of Conquest, so 1 strike apiece right now. We've got a stalemate. For the first time, an Al Haluf game is actually going to be a bit slow, but I suspect that someone's going to pull the trigger soon.
I mean, let's take a look at what both teams have here. Both teams have a strike secured. And what's happening right now on the lower side is that Jackifa is actually starting to commit in that Bliskavitsa, and he does take a shot for his troubles here, so he goes down a bit in the HP department. Lemisandros, on the other hand, has taken one as well. And Jackifa is actually the one that has backup in the form of 1 CS. Now, keep in mind, guys, El Haluf, it does have the ramp now, so if Jackifa and Lemmy want to, they can take that ramp back in towards that middle strike here, So far, both sides haven't used it either. Good shot there in towards Dani, though, by one of the Conquest tanks. And even the CS, Danachka, ending up overextending a little bit in that A1 position. And here comes the first strike. On towards Toxic, Solo, Clerf. That's a quick triple connection. 1200 damage, just like that.
Yeah, not too bad a strike. And Danashka's used that because he's obviously going to start collecting a new one in about 10 seconds time, and this might just end up being the slowest game of Onslaught that we've seen so far. Just a complete stalemate. No team really having a pressure point that they think that they can actually take an advantage on. Frugo starts collecting the strike, Danashka starts collecting the strike. We're just going to watch 7 minutes of strike trading until one team eventually runs out of HP.
I mean, might be the case. I still think that's unlikely, but we do see Jack Von Miku here waiting if someone wants to go for the point of information, which we as the all-knowing observers obviously know that's not the case. And the reason why not one of the tanks in either team is getting split off towards one of those points is not only is the radio towers are very open and prone to spotting, you also signal with this to the enemy team that, hey, you know, if you push now, one of our tanks for sure isn't going to be in the fight.
It's a very cold war right now. A very, very cold war. Death by 1,000 paper cuts is kind of on the menu right now. Literally no one's doing anything. No one's moving. Like, Gotcha Baby is just doing the sort of classic random, or like the classic thing that Water Tanks players do, which is they just press W and S because they're bored and they can't sit still.
I mean, he is spotted there. That means part of his turret at some point in time is exposed, and I think he's trading spots with Flawless. So that Centurion better be driving back and forwards. Otherwise, someone might try to snipe the Cupola, or, you know, if Flawless feels particularly cheeky, he can just load HE and deal like 100 damage for free. So that's not happening, but now we do see a play coming out from W, and that is going to be Miku in that CS that will end up completely flanking around. And also interesting thing here, as both strikes get taken once again, this time around, the teams do not spend the strikes. Conquest was putting one at the start with 1200 good connection. W hasn't spent any, and this means that now we have triple strike on the cards. And in the bank for W, as that CS from the backline starts opening up, YOLO takes one in the back, and that is information gained, HP for info on the team of Conquest. They know that the CS is on the offside now. They know that they have been flanked.
Yes, and how do Conquest react to this? Because Miku is going to find angles on Lemmy. He's going to have to go super wide into the red team spawn here, but he will have angles on Lemmy, so Lemmy cannot stay there. It's not sustainable. And it looks like they're grouping up for a push. Both teams have sort of built up their nuclear arsenal, but W actually have 3 strikes available right now, so any push that comes in is just going to get shut down. Lemmy again taking another shot from Miku. The push is going to have to come at some point from the side of Conquest, and there it is. Flawless activating his ability to minimize the damage. Strike comes in for the side of Conquest onto those W tanks. That is a big strike, but strike is going to be in return. It's going to be triple strikes being placed down. There's so much damage being done. Clerf down to 500 HP, but it's a war of attrition right now.
I mean, the nukes start raining down, and the mushroom clouds are probably above the map right now as Flawless goes down towards one shot and into the grave, as W, I think banking triple strike was the correct thing for them to do. Miku also in the fray already, unable to ram kill Lemisandros, but that doesn't take away from the fact that W still have 5 tanks available. They just need to get those one-shots out of the game, as Frugal seemingly unable to do so, but Solo is able to keep up Lali. Clove to the grave as well, though, and Gotcha Baby coming in with that Centurion Action X. Lemisandros 70 HP, and a Dream doesn't get to put the strike even, and W secure match 4 of day 3 of the OLS with 3-1.
Yeah, that was a very, very well played round from the side of W. The key difference, both teams were in a stalemate, but the key difference is that the double CS from Conquest was stuck in A1. They couldn't leave, right? So if they wanted to do something like what W did, they didn't have that option available. So the fact that Miku was able to do that flank around, just force Conquest, like just force them into this push that they didn't really want to make. And the triple strike is it's just absolutely devastating. You just see them push forwards. It's like they're suffering from radiation poisoning. They all just push forwards and they're all losing HP simultaneously and stunned at the same time.
Yeah, it's like moving into an AoE damage effect in like a MOBA. If that comparison makes sense. Yeah, as soon as you push, you're going to eat that triple strike, which at that point in time is going to amount to 1200 damage. And I think for W, it was a calm, it was a collected game that they played here in round number 4. They were like, all right, this is happening right now. Let's first of all wait a minute or two until we have a strike or two banked up. And then we can start sending Miku to the outside, because realistically, who's going to challenge him? A Bliskavica? Like, on the outside with a narrow gun arc and the ability that reduces the track HP to 0? Yeah, no, we can just send the CS to the outside, and he is going to force Conquest into an unfavorable push. That being said, as the day now is concluded, it's time to talk about what's ahead, and that is the next Playday, and that one's on Thursday.
Yeah, we've got the next rounds, the match days of the Onslaught Legends series coming up. I believe that I will be rejoining you on the 29th of September if I've got my dates correct. I think Adam will be taking over from me and bringing a slightly lighter atmosphere in the next match day of Onslaught Legends series.
I'm trying to not do a joke right now, and it's working somewhat. Anyway. Yeah, indeed. The next Playday is going to be a Thursday, the 19th. So in 2 days, less than 48 hours until we'll have the next Playday of the OLS. That being said, obviously, I reminded you guys once already during the stream, but once again, Back in Action is currently ongoing if you haven't logged into the game in quite some time, or if you know a friend that hasn't, maybe tell them about it, because logging in right now gives a ton of goodies together with some sweet rental tanks. And yeah, no better time to once again start playing World of Tanky Tanks. I believe, Moff, that is kind of it for the two of us on this stream for today. However, obviously, there are a lot of people on the stream right now that haven't claimed or weren't able to completely claim their drops for today. And as always, we are going to raid someone after the stream. This person will have the drops enabled. Those drops that you see right now, it is those 4 sweet OLS tokens, and that person, Morph, will be you.
Yes, I will be fulfilling the duty as the budget that kills us, so that people can claim their drops, and I will try not to be molding as much as possible while playing Onslaught.
Best of luck with that. I actually, the last Onslaught match I played I did was yesterday, and I ended up winning, and like it was weird. I was playing mouse on Retro. Don't ask me why, but it
just
ended up
Silver
very,
League
very
things.
You know, if it works. It works, is all I'm gonna say. But yeah, in case you were wondering, triple Silver League in this year of the Manticore in those Onslaught seasons is going to net you the T-57 Stinger, which is the main reward for this year. And in case you were wondering about what you can get with the tokens that you will earn, not only here, but on Moff's stream, it is going to be sweet rewards in the in-game OLS token store, up to and including premium tanks, like, for example, the SU-1222, which I think since it was available last Holiday Ops boxes, it has been sold like once or maybe twice. So pretty rare tank. We did see the price pool there once again. It is still going to go up. My personal hope now is that it's going to overcome like $60,000 US. The OLF price pool obviously not changing, but here are the standings after the Playday 4. And I think the biggest surprise is directly on spot number 1, Moff.
Yeah, Solyanka, the big upset in the league so far, at the top of the leaderboard with the maximum possible score, 9 points. It's not been the easiest road there, but they've beaten some strong opponents. They've beaten Storm, they've beaten Hit and Run, and it's looking really good right now. And can they maintain that form? Because we've still got a lot of games to go.
Yeah, and then, I mean, Storm, W, Mafia, Hit and Run, all of them on 6, and then on place number 6. I think a quite surprising team to be found there, but nonetheless, Cashback only on 6th place. I think that is not the expectation they have set for themselves, so to speak.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you would have expected, but if Solyanka are going to surprise by being at the top of the leaderboard, someone has to be a surprise in the other direction, right? And Cashback will probably feel kind of unlucky to be there. They had a really close match against W and Hit and Run, actually, and that's reflected in the number of rounds. And they've got more round wins.
Yeah, they have
losses.
A positive round difference and still only 1 victory. That's harsh.
Yes, that's pretty brutal. And then at the bottom we've got Clueless and Conquest 2. They're going to have to start making their way up the points table if they don't want to get eliminated before the end of phase 1.
All right, that is going to conclude day 3 of the OLS. Once again, thank you very much to everyone behind the camera. Thank you very much, Moff. Thanks to all the players as well, because I personally am having a blast spectating them. Last but not least, thank you, Moff, for joining us today. As we said already, we'll be rating you. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, or night, wherever you are. And we'll see you in 2 days.